My friends, come a little closer now. Not in body, but in feeling. Let your shoulders soften. Let your hands rest wherever they have fallen. There is nothing you must accomplish in this moment. No problem to solve. No plan to force into shape. If you have come to these words, with a mind that has been running all day, with a heart that feels heavy from trying to hold everything together, I want you to hear me gently at the very beginning. Nothing has gone wrong. You have not failed. You have not missed your chance. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not being punished. You are simply tired, and tiredness has a way of making life appear far more difficult than it truly is. I have watched this for many years. I have watched people, good people, grow weary. Not because they lack ability, but because they have been trying to carry what the soul was never meant to carry. And when one is tired, the mind begins to speak in a certain tone. It becomes sharp. It becomes urgent. It becomes frightened. It begins to say, what if nothing changes? What if I can't do it? What if I never catch up? What if I've already ruined it? And because the mind has been trained to believe that worry is a kind of responsibility, it continues to worry, as though worry were the price you must pay to keep life from collapsing. But I tell you, quietly, kindly, and with the calm assurance of one who has tested this law, worry is not responsibility. Worry is imagination misused. Worry is not care. Worry is not wisdom. Worry is not foresight. Worry is the creative power turned against itself. It is the same inner faculty that can shape your world, but instead of shaping peace, it rehearses disaster. Instead of moving you into safety, it moves you into strain. And then you wonder why life feels heavy, why money feels difficult, why everything seems slow, resistant, unwilling. Listen to me now. When you worry, you are not solving anything. You are practicing an outcome you do not desire. You are training the subconscious to accept a picture of lack as though it were the truth. You are planting seeds of the very condition you wish to escape. And then, because the law is faithful, the world echoes back to you what you have entertained. So if you have been worrying, do not condemn yourself for it. Do not say, I have ruined it. No, that is only another misuse of imagination. Instead, simply notice it, as one notices a storm passing at sea. And in noticing, allow it to loosen. You do not have to fight it. You do not have to wrestle your own mind into silence. You only need to stop feeding it the same fearful story. If you are listening now with your eyes open, they may close naturally. If they do not, it is perfectly fine. If your breath is shallow, it may deepen on its own. If your thoughts drift, let them drift. Do not try to hold every sentence. Do not strain to understand. There is a listener in you, deeper than the reasoning mind. A hearer that does not require effort. You are safe here, and I want you to hear one sentence as though I were placing it gently into your hands. You are not tired because life is hard. You are tired because you have been trying to carry what was never meant to be carried. You were never meant to carry tomorrow on your shoulders. You were never meant to carry the entire weight of money, time, and outcome in your chest, like a stone. You were never meant to lie down at night and keep the world turning with your anxious thoughts. And yet, this is what so many do, and they call it being realistic. They call it being responsible. They call it doing what must be done. But it is not what must be done. It is only what you have been trained to do. The world teaches you, quietly and steadily, that money comes through tension, that security comes through strain, that if you are not constantly thinking, planning, anticipating, and guarding yourself against disappointment, then you will be swept away. It praises the one who exhausts himself. It applauds the one who stays awake with worry. It calls him diligent. It calls him worthy. And so you begin to believe that peace must be earned through struggle. But my friends, peace does not come through struggle. There are certain things in life that cannot be forced. You cannot force sleep. The more you try to seize it, the further it goes. Sleep comes when the body releases, when the mind stops chasing. You cannot force a seed to sprout by pulling at the soil. You cannot stand over the earth demanding proof by morning. The seed grows in quiet. It grows in darkness. It grows according to an order that is invisible to the eye, yet perfectly dependable. And so it is with the movement of money in your world. Money does not move because you panic. Money does not come because you grind your nerves into dust. Money does not appear because you punish yourself with worry and call it responsibility. Money moves toward states. It moves toward the inner condition you occupy, quietly, naturally, when no one is watching. This is why I have said so often that life does not respond to force. It responds to consciousness. It responds to what you are being within yourself. The outer world is not the cause. It is the effect. The outer world is a mirror, and it reflects the inner state. So if you have been living in a state of strain, the mirror has shown strain. If you have been living in a state of waiting, the mirror has shown delay. If you have been living in a state of anxiety, the mirror has shown uncertainty. Not because life is cruel, but because life is faithful. And here is the comfort hidden inside this truth. If the outer world has been reflecting tension, it means you can change what it reflects, not by fighting the mirror, but by changing the face that stands before it. You can change the inner position. You can withdraw from the state of strain and enter a state of ease. You can stop clutching at life and begin to consent to a different reality. That is what this message is for. Not to make you do more, not to give you another task, not to burden you with another technique that you must perfect. This is not for doing. This is for allowing. It is for permission. It is for the quiet act of letting the deeper order of being move without your interference. It is for the one who is tired of carrying what was never his to carry. It is for the one who is weary of fighting shadows. It is for the one who wants to rest, not only in body, but in consciousness. You see, most people try to change their lives by wrestling the outer world. They try to force money to come by staring at numbers, pushing at circumstances, bargaining with time. They do not realize they are fighting an echo. They are striking at a shadow on the wall, and a shadow cannot be changed by attacking it. It can only be changed by returning to the light that casts it. So tonight, whether you remain awake through these words, or whether you drift into sleep, I want you to feel something very simple. You are permitted to stop. You are permitted to stop scanning the future for danger. You are permitted to stop rehearsing the worst. You are permitted to stop punishing yourself with constant thought. You are permitted to rest and still be taken care of. Now, this may feel strange, because so many have lived so long in tension that tension feels normal. They have lived so long with worry humming in the background that quiet feels unfamiliar. And when quiet comes, the mind tries to fill it with questions. But what about the bills? What about the deadline? What about the uncertainty? What about the past? What about what they said? What about what I don't have? And the mind believes that if it keeps these things in view, it is protecting you. But it is not protecting you. It is preparing you for sorrow. It is rehearsing lack. And I say to you now, with great tenderness, you have rehearsed lack long enough. You have rehearsed struggle long enough. You have rehearsed delay long enough. Tonight you will rehearse something else. Not with strain, not with desperate effort, but with the simplest change of inner tone. You will rehearse relief. You will rehearse provision. You will rehearse the quiet, knowing that what you desire is not distant, not withheld, not denied, but already moving into view. If you think it is not possible, if you feel the old doubt rising, do not wrestle with it. Doubt is not your enemy. Doubt is simply a habit of returning to the old room in the house of consciousness. And habits can be replaced. A new room can be entered. A new atmosphere can be breathed. So I will not ask you to force belief. I will not ask you to convince yourself with strained words. I will not ask you to pretend. I will ask you to do something far simpler. I will ask you to rest and let a new feeling be the final garment you wear into sleep. For sleep is the great doorway. Sleep is the moment you release control. Sleep is the moment the mind loosens its grip. Sleep is when the deeper self receives without argument. And that is why people so often fall asleep worrying, and then wake to more reasons to worry, because they carried the seed of worry into the womb of night. The subconscious is faithful. It receives what you impress upon it. It does not judge. It does not debate. It does not say, "Are you sure you want this?" It simply receives the tone of your being, and then it expresses that tone as the circumstances of your life. And if this has happened in fearful ways before, then it can happen in beautiful ways now. You do not need to struggle with the world. You do not need to chase money. You do not need to force outcomes. You need to enter a state. That is all. And entering a state is not labor. It is acceptance. It is the quiet, inward movement from "I hope" to "it is done." It is the gentle shift from "I must make it happen" to "it is already happening." It is the difference between clenching your fist and opening your hand. So as you listen now, allow the body to open. Allow the breath to soften. Allow the jaw to unclench. Allow the forehead to smooth. And hear me. You have not been abandoned. You have not been forgotten. The power that governs life is not distant from you. It is not outside you. It is within you as your own awareness of being. And that power has never failed to express the state accepted as true. This is why I speak in terms of the words "I am." Those two words are not small. They are the name of being itself. And whatever you join to "I am" becomes your world, because it becomes your state. So if night after night you have been joining "I am" to strain, "I am worried, I am behind, I am struggling, I am always trying," then the world has mirrored it. But tonight you will begin to join "I am" to something else, something gentler, something richer, something that feels like relief. You may not yet know exactly how money will come. You do not need to know. You may not yet see the bridge of events forming. You do not need to see it. Your conscious mind is not the architect of the bridge. The subconscious is. The deeper self is. And it builds in ways you could never devise. Your part is simpler than you have been told. Your part is to stop interfering. Your part is to stop planting fear. Your part is to stop planting fear. Your part is to stop carrying what was never meant to be carried, and instead to enter the mood of being provided for. Now notice that I did not say to force excitement. Many believe they must feel some great surge of emotion for the law to work. They try to stir themselves like a storm. They try to make the feeling large, but the subconscious is not impressed by intensity alone. It is impressed by reality. It is impressed by naturalness. A thing becomes yours when it feels natural. So I want to guide you toward a feeling that is quiet but real, not dramatic but true, not strained but settled. The feeling of relief, the feeling of "it is handled," the feeling of "I do not have to carry this anymore," the feeling of "life is arranging it." That feeling, if you allow it, will do more for you than 1,000 frantic thoughts ever could. And if you drift towards sleep as I speak, let that be perfectly all right. You are not meant to stay awake and monitor this. Even if you sleep, it is working. I am speaking to the deeper self in you. I am speaking to the soil, not only to the surface, and the soil receives quietly. So let me say again, as though speaking to the tired part of you that has been trying too hard for too long. Nothing has gone wrong. You are not late. You are not behind. You are simply tired. And tiredness will pass when you stop carrying what was never meant to be carried. Tonight, you are allowed to rest. Tonight, you are allowed to receive. Tonight, you are allowed to let money move toward you without strain, without chasing, without desperation. Not by chance, not by luck, but by law. And in a moment, very gently, I will take you deeper, not into effort, but into the quiet understanding of why money responds to states, and how the unseen order begins to rearrange itself the moment you enter the feeling of being provided for. But for now, let the mind soften. Let the body sink. Let the night do what the night does best. Is still, and simply be. Now let us go a little deeper, my friends, but still gently, still without strain. If you feel yourself drifting, let yourself drift. If you are still awake, listen as though you are listening from a comfortable chair inside yourself, not from the edge of worry. Because what I am about to say is not meant to excite you into effort. It is meant to release you from it. There is a habit in the human mind that is so common, so accepted, that most never question it. The habit is this: if I keep thinking about it, I am controlling it. And so the mind believes that constant thought is protection. It believes that if it keeps the problem in view, it will prevent disaster. It believes that if it stays tense, it will stay prepared. It believes that if it does not loosen its grip, it will not be disappointed. But this habit does not protect you. It imprisons you. For what is constant anxious thinking? It is not control. It is inner bondage. It is the mind chained to an outcome it fears. It is the imagination, the greatest gift ever given to man, reduced to a machine for rehearsing loss. And money, my friends, responds to imagination. It responds to consciousness. It responds to the inner state you occupy. It does not respond to the grinding of your mind, the way a mill grinds grain. It does not respond to panic. It does not respond to frantic supervision. In fact, I will tell you something that may at first feel strange, but it will free you if you let it. Money never moves toward effort. It moves toward states. I have said it in many ways through the years, and I will say it again now. The world you live in is not governed by your outward struggle alone. It is governed by the state of consciousness you habitually occupy. You may work very hard and still feel that money is always just beyond reach. You may labor with sincerity and yet remain anxious, waiting for relief. Meanwhile, another may appear to do far less, and yet money arrives in his life with a strange ease, as though the world were cooperating with him. The difference is not the clock. The difference is not sweat. The difference is not even education. The difference is the inner state. Now let me speak to you plainly, because many misunderstand this and swing to the other extreme. When I say money does not move toward effort, I am not teaching idleness. I am not teaching negligence. I am not telling you to abandon action. There is action in life. There are things you will do. There are steps you will take. But there are two kinds of action, and most people do not know the difference. There is action that rises naturally from a state of inner certainty. It is calm. It is simple. It is intelligent. It feels almost obvious. It does not exhaust you. It does not carry fear in its chest. It is what I call inspired action, though you need not call it that. It is the kind of action that feels like the next natural step of someone who already knows he is provided for. And then there is action born of fear. This action is frantic. It is heavy. It is desperate. It feels like chasing. It feels like running after something that is trying to escape you. And it is always accompanied by inner speech that says, if I don't do this, I will lose. If I stop, everything will collapse. If I rest, I am being irresponsible. That kind of action does not bring freedom. It multiplies strain. Now, if you have lived long under the belief that money requires strain, then even when money comes, you may not feel safe. You may receive a little and still feel that it could vanish at any moment. That is a sign that the state has not changed. The outer event cannot permanently change your inner identity. Only a change of inner identity can permanently change the outer events. So I ask you to notice something with great honesty. When you think about money, what is the feeling beneath your thoughts? Is it calm, or is it tightness? Is it ease, or is it urgency? Is it the quiet sense of being supported, or is it the sense of being pursued by life? For the subconscious does not respond to your words alone. It responds to the feeling beneath them. You may say, I am prosperous, but if the feeling underneath is, I am afraid, the subconscious will accept fear, not prosperity. You may say, money comes to me, but if the feeling underneath is, it never comes, then the subconscious will accept the deeper confession. This is why mental effort often blocks the flow. Because mental effort, when it is driven by fear, is simply a constant confession that you do not have what you desire. It is the mind saying, I must force it because it is not mine. And as long as you remain in that inner posture, you remain in a state of not having. Do you see now why so many people exhaust themselves? They are trying to get money, but they are living from the state of I do not have. They are trying to pull a harvest from the soil while still planting seeds of lack. Now I will give you an image that is very simple, but if you hold it, it will teach you more than 1,000 arguments. Consider your breathing. You do not sit all day trying to breathe. If you did, you would go mad. You may become aware of your breath now and then, but the breath happens naturally when you stop interfering with it. The body knows what to do. It breathes by an order deeper than your conscious effort. Consider your heartbeat. You are not beating your heart by will. If you had to manage it consciously, you would not sleep for fear of forgetting. And yet you sleep, and the heart beats. You sleep, and the blood moves. You sleep, and the body repairs itself. You do not supervise these things, and still they happen with extraordinary intelligence. Now ask yourself, if the deeper order can govern something as intimate as your heartbeat, can it not also govern the movement of money? Can it not also arrange the events, the meetings, the opportunities, the shifts that bring provision into your world? Of course it can. But you have been trained to believe that you must manage the outer world with the same anxious supervision that you do not even give to your own body. And what happens when you try to control sleep? You know it from experience. The more you chase it, the more it escapes. You lie in bed and you say, I must sleep now. And the mind becomes more alert. The body becomes tense. Sleep, which is natural, becomes difficult. But the moment you stop chasing, the moment you let the body sink, the moment you allow yourself to drift, sleep arrives like a gentle visitor. It was always near. It was your effort that kept it away. It is the same with money, my friends. The moment you stop making money a desperate chase, the moment you stop holding it with fear, the moment you stop believing you must strain to deserve it, you begin to enter a different state. And from that different state, you will act differently. You will speak differently to yourself. You will notice different opportunities. You will meet different people. You will move through the day with a different inner fragrance. And the world will answer that fragrance, because money never moves toward effort. It moves toward states. Now you may say, but Neville, the world is hard. The world requires work. Yes, the world requires action. But it does not require the inner violence you have been using. It does not require the chronic tension. It does not require you to live like a man always about to be struck. It does not require you to carry fear as though fear were a shield. In fact, fear is not a shield. Fear is a magnet. Fear calls forth the very thing it fears, because fear is imagination in agreement with loss. So when I say the world does not respond to anxiety, I mean it literally. Anxiety is a state, and the state produces its likeness. Anxiety produces more reasons to be anxious. It produces delays. It produces mistakes. It produces misjudgments. It produces a world that feels unstable, because the inner feeling is unstable. But if you enter a state of being supported, you will begin to see support. If you enter a state of being guided, you will begin to see guidance. If you enter a state of being provided for, you will begin to see provision. Not because the world suddenly decides to be kind, but because the world must reflect the state you occupy. Here is the subtlety that most people miss. They think the goal is money. They say, if I had money, then I would feel safe. They say, if I had money, then I would finally breathe. They say, if I had money, then I could relax. And so they wait. They place their relaxation in the future. They place their relief in the future. They place their peace in the future. And they live now in the state of not yet, and the subconscious, hearing not yet, continues to produce not yet. So I reverse it. I say, do not wait for money to make you feel safe. Feel safe, and money will come. Do not wait for the outer world to give you permission to relax. Relax, and the outer world will rearrange itself. Do not wait for a bank account to grant you peace. Enter peace as a state, and the bank account will follow. This is not magic. It is not superstition. It is law. It is the law of reversibility, though you need not call it that. The feeling that you imagine money would give you, if assumed now, becomes the cause that produces the outer condition that matches it. The world has taught you that events cause feelings. I tell you that feelings, when impressed upon the subconscious, cause events. Now I am not asking you to pretend. I am not asking you to stand in poverty and shout, "I am rich," while your whole being feels crushed. That is not what I teach. That is simply noise. The subconscious is not impressed by noise. It is impressed by acceptance. So what then is the art? The art is to enter, even for a few moments, the feeling of relief. The art is to taste inwardly what you would taste outwardly if your desire were fulfilled. The art is to let the body soften, just a little, as though the burden were already lifted. This is why I began this message the way I did. Not with commands, not with demands, but with permission. Because permission allows you to soften, and softness allows you to feel. And feeling is the language of the subconscious. If you are listening now and you feel your shoulders drop even a fraction, that is not nothing. That is the entrance into a new state. If you feel a small sigh, a small exhale, as though the body is finally releasing something, that is not imagination playing. That is imagination choosing. You may have spent years tightening yourself against life, years bracing for the next bill, the next disappointment, the next delay, and the body has learned that posture. But the body can learn another posture. It can learn the posture of being supported. It can learn the posture of being provided for. It can learn the posture of quiet certainty. And when it learns it, your world will change. Now let me show you the difference between action from fear and action from the fulfilled state in the simplest way. Imagine a woman who feels she must chase money. She wakes with worry. She checks the figures. She tightens her chest. She plans from panic. She speaks to herself all day in the language of lack. And even if she works hard, every action is heavy, because the state is heavy. The world mirrors her heaviness. She meets obstacles. She meets delays. She meets the same patterns, repeating, because she is repeating them inwardly. Now imagine that same woman, but she has entered another state. She has accepted quietly, inwardly, the feeling of being supported. She has begun to fall asleep with relief instead of dread. She wakes with less tension. She moves through her day with a calmer mind. And because her state is calmer, her actions become more effective. She sees what she could not see before. She hears what she could not hear before. She responds instead of reacting. She chooses instead of panicking. And money begins to move, not because she forced it, but because her state invited it. The outer actions may look similar, but the inner cause is entirely different. One is effort born of fear. The other is movement born of certainty. And that is why I repeat it. Money never moves toward effort. It moves toward states. Do you see now why this message is designed for sleep? Because sleep is the moment you stop trying to control. Sleep is the moment you stop supervising. Sleep is the moment you stop checking and measuring and worrying. Sleep is the moment you enter the chamber of the subconscious, the womb of creation. And what you carry into that chamber becomes your harvest. Most people carry into sleep the day's anxiety. They carry the bills, the conversations, the failures, the what if, and the why not me. And they plant those seeds in the soil of the night. Then they rise in the morning and they are shocked that the world looks the same. But the seed they planted was the same. Tonight you will plant something else. Not the numbers, not the struggle, not the chase. You will plant a state. You will plant the feeling that money is already moving toward you. And before you question it, let me say this to the part of you that wants to argue. You do not need to know the route by which it will come. You do not need to know the name of the person who will play a part. You do not need to see the bridge of events ahead of time. The subconscious is wiser than your conscious planning. It knows how to arrange a series of natural incidents that will lead you to the fulfillment of the state you have entered. Your only task is to enter it and then not to destroy it by returning to the old state in panic. Now, if you feel your mind wanting to say, "But I must think about it, or I will lose control," I want you to consider how little control you truly have had through worry. Has worry given you freedom? Has worry given you peace? Has worry guaranteed results? Or has worry merely exhausted you? You have tried the way of strain. You know its fruit. Now I invite you into another way, the way of inner rest, the way of assumption, the way of letting the state do the work. And as you listen, whether awake or drifting, let this settle into you as a quiet truth. Life does not respond to anxiety. Life responds to acceptance. Life responds to the inner position you occupy. So tonight, when the mind tries to carry the burden again, you may simply say inwardly, "I do not need to carry this," not as an affirmation shouted, but as a gentle release. And feel the body soften. Feel the breath deepen. Feel the belly loosen. Feel the shoulders drop. And in that softness, you are entering the state. That is the beginning. And in the next part, I will take you even deeper into what I mean when I say God is your own wonderful human imagination, and why money, though it appears external, is simply a shadow that must move when the inner light shifts. For when you understand that, you will no longer chase money. You will simply become the one to whom money comes naturally, quietly, lawfully, as naturally as sleep comes. When you stop trying to force it. Now let me speak to you about a word that carries great weight for many people. It is a word that for some brings comfort, and for others brings fear. For some it brings memories of tenderness, and for others it brings memories of being told they were unworthy, that life's hardships were a punishment, that they must plead with a distant power to be helped. If you have ever felt any of that, do not fight it. Do not tense against it. Let it pass through you, as the night air passes through an open window. I am not here to disturb your peace. I am here to restore it. When I use the word God, I am not speaking of a being far away, seated somewhere in the sky, watching, judging, deciding whether you deserve relief. I am not speaking of a God who must be persuaded. I am not speaking of a God who withholds. I am not speaking of a God who measures you and then grants or denies you, according to some distant whim. I speak of God as the only reality, and that reality is not outside you. It is within you, closer than your breath, nearer than your hands and feet. Now this may seem strange to the one who has been taught to look outward, for the world has trained man to believe that power must be external. It has trained him to believe that he is small, that life is large, that circumstances rule, and that he must bargain with fate. And when the word God is introduced into such a mind, it becomes another external power, another authority outside the self. And so people pray as though they were begging at the door of a great house, hoping someone inside will take pity and open. But my friends, that is not prayer. That is bondage. It keeps you forever outside. It keeps you forever waiting. It keeps you forever looking up and out, as though the source were far away. And the reason this matters in a talk about money is very simple. If you believe the source is outside you, then money will always feel outside you too. It will always feel as something you must chase, something you must earn with strain, something that comes only if the world agrees with you. But when you discover what God truly is, money takes on an entirely different meaning. It becomes what it truly is, a shadow, an echo, a reflection of the state you occupy within yourself. So let us clean the word God of fear and distance and return it to its true meaning. If you would understand what I mean, do not look outward. Do not search the sky. Do not search temples or distant places. Turn your attention inward for a moment and notice the simplest fact of your existence. You are aware. Before you name yourself, before you recall your history, before you consider your worries, there is a bare awareness that quietly declares, I am. You are aware that you are. That sense of being is not produced by effort. You did not create it by thinking. You did not earn it by striving. It is simply present. It is the foundation upon which all thought and all feeling and all perception rests. It is the most intimate reality you will ever know, because you cannot step outside it. And it is that awareness of being the I am that I call God. Not as poetry, not as metaphor, but as a fact of experience. This is why, when Moses asked for the name, the answer was not a title in the sky. It was the simplest, most profound revelation ever given. I am that I am. Tell them I am has sent you. You may have heard those words and thought them distant, ancient, belonging to someone else. But I tell you, they belong to you. They are spoken in you every time you become aware of yourself. The name of God is not something you speak to the heavens. It is the awareness you are using right now to listen to me. And now, very gently, feel what that implies. If God is your own awareness of being, then God is not outside you. God is within you as the very power by which you experience life. God is not someone you must reach. God is the one by which you reach anything at all. God is not a distant authority. God is the operant power in you, the I am that can be clothed with any state. And here is where most people miss the entire secret of life. They use the words I am every day, carelessly, without realizing they are using the name of God. They join the divine name to states they do not wish to express. They say, I am worried, I am behind, I am broke, I am unlucky, I am always struggling. And because the law is faithful, because consciousness is the only reality, they outpicture that inner confession as the facts of their lives. It is not punishment, it is not fate, it is not cruel chance. It is the natural result of attaching the creative name to an undesirable state. But the opposite is true as well, and this is where freedom begins. If you can say quietly, inwardly, I am provided for, and feel it as true, then you have clothed the name of God with provision, and provision must appear. If you can say, I am secure, and allow the body to soften into that security, then security must externalize. If you can say, I am the one to whom money comes naturally, and let that identity feel like a gentle fact, then the world must mirror it, because the world is not separate from your consciousness. Now I know what the mind may say. It may say, but this sounds too simple. It is simple. And because it is simple, most overlook it. They believe power must be complicated. They believe God must be distant. They believe change must be earned through suffering. But truth is always near. Truth is always quiet. Truth is always immediate. Now let me speak to you about the way most people pray, and why it often fails to bring the thing they desire. Most prayer, as it is commonly practiced, is not prayer at all. It is anxiety dressed in religious clothing. It is asking from the state of not having. It is pleading from the assumption of lack. It is begging from the belief that the desire is absent and must be granted. And every time you do that, you impress upon the subconscious the state of absence. You may whisper beautiful words, but your feeling confesses, it is not mine. And the subconscious does not respond to the poetry of your lips. It responds to the state you occupy. It responds to the feeling beneath the words. So a person prays, please give me money, and while praying, feels desperation, fear, and need. The subconscious receives need. And because it is faithful, it produces more reasons to feel need. Then the person says, God did not hear me, but God did hear. God, which is your own consciousness, accepted exactly what you felt as true while you prayed. Now hear this without condemnation. You were not wrong to desire. You were not wrong to hope. You were simply taught to pray in a way that keeps you in want. You were taught to pray as though God were outside you, and therefore you were trained into waiting. But the truth is far kinder and far more powerful. You do not need to persuade God. You do not need to beg. You do not need to bargain. You only need to accept. There is a great difference between asking and accepting. To ask is to keep the desire at a distance. To ask is to remain outside the door. To ask is to say, I do not have. And as long as you remain in that state, you remain in the state of not having. No matter how many words you speak, your inner position is still lack. But to accept is to step inside. To accept is to sit down. To accept is to sit down. To accept is to breathe as though you belong there. To accept is to allow the state of the fulfilled desire to become present within you. And the moment you accept something inwardly, God has already moved. Not later, not tomorrow, not after you repeat it 1,000 times. In the very moment you accept the state, you have entered it. You have occupied it, you have become it in consciousness. And the outer world, being only the outpicturing of consciousness, must rearrange itself to confirm it. So let me give you the key sentence again, because it contains the whole secret. You are not asking life to give you money. You are allowing life to express through you what you have already accepted. Do you feel the difference? One is begging at the door, the other is moving into possession. One is pleading with a distant power, the other is wearing a state as your own. One is effort and strain, the other is acceptance and rest. Now you may say, but Neville, how can I accept when my senses deny? My friends, the senses always deny at first. The senses are the record of past assumptions. They show you what you have been, not what you are becoming. The outer world is delayed. It is an echo, and an echo does not sound at the same instant as the voice. There is always a space of time. So if you change the voice now, if you change the inner confession, do not look immediately to the echo for proof. The echo is still repeating yesterday. The proof is in the acceptance itself. The proof is in the relief that begins to soften you. The proof is in the quietness that follows when you stop begging and begin resting in possession. This is why the night is so precious. In the stillness before sleep, you can accept more easily, because the senses grow quiet. The day argues. The day demands evidence. The day pulls you back into appearances. But the night, if you use it wisely, allows you to enter the state without constant contradiction. So I tell you, do not treat the moments before sleep as ordinary. They are not ordinary. They are the doorway of creation. What you accept there, what you feel there, what you consent to there, sinks into the deeper mind and becomes the pattern your world must follow. And this is why I began by telling you that nothing has gone wrong. Because the moment you hear this, you might think, then I have been doing it all wrong. No, you have simply been asleep to your own power, trained into a way of praying that keeps you in lack. But you are waking now, and waking is gentle. Waking is not a punishment. Waking is a release. So tonight, if money is the desire, do not approach it as a beggar. Do not say, please let money come. Do not say, I hope something changes. Do not say, maybe tomorrow. Those are confessions of absence. Instead, accept the state that implies money is already moving toward you. Accept the feeling of being supported. Accept the ease of being supplied. Accept the quiet, knowing that you are guided, that you are carried, that you are not alone in this. And do not force it. Simply allow it. Let it be like placing your head on the pillow and saying inwardly, it is taken care of. Let it be like the body sighing, as though the burden has already lifted. Let it be like the heart softening, as though the answer has already come. For I tell you, in the moment of true acceptance, the subconscious receives. And once it receives, it begins to arrange the bridge of incidents. It stirs people. It opens doors. It brings ideas. It draws opportunities. It does it in ways you could never devise. You do not need to know the route. You only need to know the state. And that state begins with one simple thing, the way you use the name, I am. So let your I am tonight be gentle, let it be noble, let it be worthy of the God you truly are. Not a God outside you, but the God within you as awareness itself. Let your I am be joined to provision. Let it be joined to security. Let it be joined to the quiet truth. Money is moving toward me now. If you feel yourself resisting, do not fight. Simply return to the bare awareness. I am. Rest there for a moment without adding anything. And you will notice that beneath all stories, beneath all fears, there is a simple presence that is untouched. That presence is the operant power. From that presence, you can clothe yourself in a new state without strain. And as you continue to listen, whether your mind is clear or drifting, whether you are awake or half asleep, let this sink into you like a seed into soil. God is not outside you. God is your awareness of being, and what you accept as true of yourself, what you join to I am, will become the reality you wake into. So tonight, do not plead, accept, do not beg, assume, do not strain. Rest, and in that rest, you will discover something that most never believe until they experience it. When you stop asking life for money and begin allowing life to express through you what you have accepted, the movement begins. Quietly at first, invisibly at first, but lawfully, surely. And in the next part, I will show you how to understand money as a state, how it already exists as a finished reality in consciousness, and how entering that state is the beginning of money moving toward you while you sleep. Now let me take you into a truth that once felt changes the way you look at money forever. It does not make you reckless. It does not make you careless. It does not make you dreamy. It makes you calm. It makes you steady. It gives you a quiet strength that does not depend upon what your eyes see in the moment. The truth is this: what you want already exists as a state. And when I say state, I am not speaking of a mood that comes and goes like weather. I am speaking of a definite condition of consciousness, an inner position, an arrangement of feeling and assumption that once entered produces its own world. A state is like a room you live in. It has its own atmosphere. It has its own furniture. It has its own view from the windows. And if you remain in that room, you begin to think from it, feel from it, speak from it, and live from it, until it seems so natural that you no longer question it. This is why I have said through the years that creation is finished. I do not mean that nothing changes. I mean that everything you could ever experience already exists as a completed possibility, already formed as a state in the house of consciousness. You are not creating states the way a carpenter creates a table. You are selecting them. You are entering them. You are moving from one to another, just as you move from one room of a house to another. Now, this is not difficult to understand if you look at your own life honestly. Have you not known days when you felt confident and the world seemed to respond differently? Doors opened. People were kinder. You spoke with more ease. You noticed opportunities you would have missed the day before. And have you not known days when you felt defeated and the world seemed heavy? The same streets, the same people, the same circumstances, and yet everything felt different. The world did not change first. The state changed first, and the world, being the mirror, reflected the state. So let us apply this to money, but gently, without excitement, without that frantic hunger that so often ruins the feeling. Money is not merely coins or notes or numbers on a page. Those are its shadows. Money, in your experience, is a state. It is a state of being provided for. It is the feeling of sufficiency. It is the quiet confidence that life supports you. It is the ease with which you meet your obligations and still have more than enough. It is the freedom to choose, rather than the feeling of being trapped. And because money is a state, you do not create money in the outer world by force. You enter the state of having, and the outer world rearranges itself to match the state you occupy. This is the difference between the man who forever chases money and the man to whom money comes. The one who chases is living in the state of not having. The one who receives is living in the state of having. And the outer world must always confirm the inner state, because the outer world is the effect. So when I say creation is finished, applied to money, I mean this. The state of wealth already exists. The state of being supported already exists. The state of being secure already exists. The state of freedom already exists. Your desire for money is not proof that it is absent. Desire is not absence. Desire is the call of a state you are capable of entering. Think of it like this. If you were incapable of entering a room, you would not even know it existed. you would not desire it. You desire it because, in the great structure of consciousness, it is available. It is already real as a state. And desire is the gentle invitation to move into it. Not tomorrow, not someday, but inwardly now. Now notice something important. The moment people hear this, many rush to the idea of great sums and dramatic changes. They feel a surge, and then they crash, because excitement is not the same as possession. Excitement is unstable. It rises and falls, but the state that produces results is not excitement. It is naturalness. It is calm possession. It is the quiet feeling that says, "This is mine," not as a boast, not as a fantasy, but as an inward fact. So we will not chase euphoria here. We will move toward relief. We will move toward ease. We will move toward the feeling of sufficiency, because that is the true fragrance of the state. When money truly belongs to you in consciousness, you are not frantic. You are not gripping the world. You are not afraid of tomorrow. You are not constantly checking. You are relieved. You are settled. You breathe differently. You move differently. You sleep differently. And that is why this message is meant for sleep. Because sleep is when you can slip into a state without argument. Sleep is when the day's noise quiets. Sleep is when the senses, which constantly demand evidence, grow dim. And in that gentle borderland, you can enter the state of sufficiency and let it feel real quietly, without strain. Now let me make this very simple with a picture. Imagine a great house, vast beyond anything you have known. In that house are countless rooms. Each room is a state of consciousness. One room is called, "I am struggling." Another room is called, "I am supported." One room is called, "I never have enough." Another room is called, "There is always enough." One room is called, "Money is hard." Another room is called, "Money comes easily." One room is called, "I am always behind." Another room is called, "I am taken care of." You do not build these rooms, they already exist. What you do is live in one of them. And whichever room you live in, you begin to decorate your thoughts accordingly. You begin to speak to yourself in the language of that room. You begin to interpret life through the windows of that room. And then you call what you see reality, not realizing you are simply seeing the reflection of the room you are in. So if you wish to change your financial life, do not argue with the furniture in the old room. Do not stand in the room of struggle and try to rearrange the chairs and call that transformation. Step out, walk down the corridor, enter another room, enter the state of being provided for, enter the state of sufficiency, enter the state of ease. Now the mind may say, "But how can I enter it if I do not see the money?" My friends, you have misunderstood the order. You do not enter the state because you see the money. You see the money because you entered the state. The outer comes after. The inner comes first. That is the law. And a state is entered by a simple act. You accept it as though it were true of you now. Not by forcing yourself to believe, but by tasting inwardly what it would feel like if it were true. Do not worry about the amount. Do not worry about the means. Do not worry about the path. Those belong to the bridge of incidents, and the subconscious builds that bridge far better than you ever could. Your task is to feel the state. So let us speak of money as a state in very human terms. What does the state of money feel like? It feels like safety. It feels like things are handled. It feels like you are not on the edge. It feels like you can breathe. It feels like you can say yes to what matters and no to what drains you. It feels like you can give without fear. It feels like you are not measuring every moment of life against a lack. It is a kind of inner spaciousness, and the state of lack is also a feeling. It is tightness. It is urgency. It is that constant scanning for danger. It is the fear that something will happen and you will not be able to meet it. It is the habit of saying, "I can't," even before life asks you to. Now, if you have lived in that state for a long time, it has become familiar. Familiarity can be mistaken for truth. Many people say, "This is just reality," when what they mean is, "This is just familiar." but you are not bound to what is familiar. You are bound only to the state you occupy, and you can change the state. Think of a garment. You may wear a heavy coat for years, and you forget what it feels like to be without it. You forget the lightness, you forget the freedom. But the moment you remove it, you remember. The weight was never you. It was only what you wore. So it is with the state of lack. It is not you. It is a garment you have worn, and you can lay it aside. Now do not misunderstand me. I am not asking you to deny your present circumstances. Denial is a form of fear. I am asking you to understand that circumstances are shadows. They are the frozen form of past feeling. They are not the final truth. They are not the cause. They are the effect. And if you want a different effect, you must enter a different cause, which is a different state. So tonight, rather than staring at the shadow, you will turn toward the light. You will accept a new state as inwardly real, and as you accept it, the outer will conform, because it has no choice. A mirror cannot contradict the face. This is why I say again, desire indicates availability, not absence. The very fact that you long for financial ease is proof that the state exists for you to enter. The fact that you yearn for freedom is proof that the room exists in the house. You are not begging for something that is impossible. You are being invited into what is already finished in consciousness. Now, how does one enter the state without strain? By allowing the feeling of relief to become present, even if only for a moment. By letting the body receive the sensation of being taken care of. By letting the breath soften as though the matter were settled. This is why I do not begin with money as numbers. Numbers do not produce the state. The state produces the numbers. Begin with the feeling. Begin with the inner atmosphere. If money were already moving toward you, what would you feel? Not excitement, but relief. Not panic, but calm. Not urgency, but peace. Let yourself taste that now, even lightly. If you cannot, do not condemn yourself. Simply soften your effort. The subconscious is not moved by force. It is moved by a gentle, natural acceptance. So instead of trying to feel a great wave, allow a small shift. Allow the shoulders to drop. Allow the jaw to unclench. Allow one slow breath. In that breath, let the suggestion be this: I am provided for, not shouted, whispered inwardly. I am provided for. Now feel what those words imply. Feel the quiet safety. Feel the sense that life is not against you. Feel that you are not alone in carrying your affairs. Feel that help is already moving. That feeling, if it is accepted, is the state. And once the state is entered, the world must answer it. Because the world is yourself pushed out. The world is consciousness objectified. The world is the shadow of the state you occupy. And money is one of those shadows. It will move as the state moves. It will appear as the state becomes natural. This is why men can win money and still lose it. Because they never entered the state. They touched an event, but they remained the same. And the old state reasserted itself. But the one who enters the state of sufficiency, the one who becomes inwardly the person who is always supported, will not only receive money, he will remain in the condition that continually produces it. For the root has changed. So I say to you, do not look only for money. Look for the state. For if you enter the state, money is inevitable. It is not a matter of chance. It is law. You cannot occupy the state of being provided for and continue to experience chronic deprivation any more than you can occupy the state of warmth and continue to shiver in cold. The outer must conform in its own appointed way. Now let me speak of the quietness of this process, because many expect fireworks and miss the miracle. When a state changes, the world often changes in ways that appear ordinary. A conversation happens, a letter arrives, a small opening appears, a friend mentions something, an opportunity presents itself. And because it does not come with thunder, people dismiss it. They say, that was just coincidence. But you will know better. You will know that the bridge of incidents began the moment you entered the state, and each small event is part of the unfolding. So do not demand drama. Demand only naturalness. Demand only inner acceptance. Demand only the feeling of being provided for as a present fact. and let the outer world do what it always does, mirror the inner. Now there is one more thing that will help you deeply. People often think they must hold the state all day with iron strength. They become afraid of their own minds. They think one doubtful thought will ruin everything. But a state, once entered and impressed, begins to work beneath the surface. The seed does not require your panic. It requires planting. So your goal tonight is not to strain yourself into perfect belief. Your goal is to enter the state enough that you taste it as real, enough that you feel relief, enough that the body receives the impression. Then you let sleep carry it into the deeper mind, where it will be nourished without your interference. And if you wake in the night, do not check the world. Do not check your thoughts in fear. Simply return to the feeling. Return to the state. Return to the room. Return to the garment. I am provided for. Money is moving toward me. It is taken care of. Not as a spell, not as a chant, but as a quiet remembering. Now I want you to notice that as you listen, something begins to change. The mind that was tight begins to loosen. The heart that was braced begins to soften. This is not nothing. This is the beginning of entering another state. This is the beginning of leaving the room of strain and stepping into the room of sufficiency. You may not yet see the outer evidence. You do not need. The outer world is the echo. The inner change is the voice. And the echo must follow. So let the word money become lighter in you. Let it become less like an enemy, less like a chase, less like a burden. Let it become what it truly is. A shadow that moves when you move. A reflection that changes when you change. A result, not a master. Till Nuts, creation is finished. The state exists. The room is there. The garment is waiting. And you are invited into it now, not by effort, not by force, but by acceptance. If you can accept even a little, it is enough to begin. A seed does not need to be large. It needs to be true. And truth, in this sense, is not what the outer world currently shows you. Truth is what you accept in consciousness. Truth is the state you enter and where. So tonight, as you fall asleep, you will not fall asleep as one who is trying. You will fall asleep as one who has entered. You will fall asleep as one who is being supported. You will fall asleep with the feeling of sufficiency gently resting upon you like a warm blanket. Not forced, not dramatic, simply present. And in that presence, money will begin to move. Quietly, naturally, lawfully. It will move toward you through channels you could not have planned, in ways you could not have demanded, because the state has been accepted, and the world, being faithful, must reflect it. Now in the next part I will show you why imagination is not fantasy, but the workshop of creation, and how a simple imaginal act before sleep impresses this state so deeply that the outer world cannot resist. But for now, let this truth remain with you as you drift. You do not create money. You enter the state, and money, as a shadow, must follow. Now let me speak to you about imagination, because this is the point where many stumble, not because the thing is difficult, but because they have been trained from childhood to misunderstand what imagination truly is. Most people hear the word imagination and think of idle fantasy. They think of childish play. They think of airy pictures that entertain and then vanish. They think imagination is what you do when you are avoiding life. And because they have been taught this, they feel almost ashamed to rely upon it. They say, I must be practical. I must deal with reality. And yet they do not realize that their so-called reality is nothing more than imagination made solid. If you could see this clearly, you would never again treat imagination as a toy. You would treat it as the most serious power you possess. For imagination is not an ornament of the mind. Imagination is the creative act itself. It is the workshop of God. It is the womb in which every experience is conceived before it is born into the world of facts. Now, to help you feel this, I must make a distinction that is very important. There is a difference between daydreaming and an imaginal act. Daydreaming is often weak because it is not possession. It is longing, It is the mind wandering into pleasant pictures, while still confessing, this is not mine. Daydreaming has the feeling of distance. It says, wouldn't it be wonderful if, and the if keeps the desire far away. The daydreamer watches from the outside. He remains a spectator. He enjoys the thought for a moment, then returns to the old state unchanged, and therefore his world remains unchanged. But an imaginal act is different. An imaginal act is not. Wouldn't it be nice? It is how wonderful it is. It is not someday. It is now. It is not looking at the desire as something separate from you. It is entering the desire as a present experience. It is participating, not observing. And that participation is everything, because the subconscious mind does not respond to your wishes. It responds to your experience. It does not understand words the way the reasoning mind does. It understands what is felt as real. It understands impression. It understands the tone of reality. It understands the inner act that carries the feeling. This is happening to me now. So if you say, I want money, the subconscious hears want. It hears absence. It hears distance. And because it is faithful, it reproduces want as your continued experience. But if you enter the feeling of being provided for, if you accept the state as though it were real, the subconscious receives not want, but possession. It receives not absence, but presence. It receives not longing, but fulfillment. Now let me make this so simple that you cannot miss it. Suppose you desire money, and you choose a scene that implies you have it. You do not need to build a long story. You do not need to imagine 1,000 events. You select one simple moment that would be true if you were already supplied. Perhaps it is the moment you open an envelope and see a letter that brings good news. Not the entire history of how it came. Not the whole explanation. Just the moment. You sit, you open the letter, and you read a line that tells you what you needed has been granted, what you desired has been approved, what burden has been lifted. Now if you merely think about this letter as a possibility, it remains a daydream. But if you enter it as an imaginal act, you feel it. You feel the paper between your fingers. You feel the slight texture as you unfold it. You see the words clearly, not as ink on paper far away, but as something you are reading now. And then you allow the body to respond, perhaps a quiet sigh, a loosening in the chest, that subtle sensation that says, thank God it is done. That bodily relief is the seed. Do you see? The subconscious does not care about your arguments. It does not care about whether you deserve it. It does not care about the economy or the calendar. It receives the feeling of relief as a present fact, and then it begins to arrange your world to produce the event that matches that relief. Now another example. Suppose you imagine holding money in your hands, not stacks in a vault, not mountains of gold, but the simple physical sensation of having more than enough. You feel the weight of it. You feel that quiet ease, that freedom that comes when you know the bills are paid. And you do not merely see your hands as though they belong to someone else. You feel through your own hands. You make it first person. You are not watching yourself in a picture. You are doing it. This is the difference between an imaginal act and fantasy. Fantasy is watching. The imaginal act is entering. The subconscious is like the soil of the earth. The soil does not argue with the seed. It does not say this is impossible. It does not debate. It does not analyze. It receives and it produces. But the soil does not respond to a seed held above the ground. It responds to a seed impressed into it. And feeling is the pressure that impresses the seed into the subconscious. So when I say feeling is the secret, I mean that feeling is the act of impressing. Feeling is what makes the imaginal act take root. A picture held lightly with no acceptance is like a seed dropped on stone. It does not penetrate. It does not grow. But a scene felt as real, even briefly, sinks down into the depths, and what sinks down must come out as experience. Now let me speak of inevitability, because the moment people begin to understand imagination as cause, they still worry about time. They say, how long will it take? They say, have I done it enough? They say, what if I ruin it with doubt? And these questions come from the old habit of seeing the outer world as the authority. But if imagination is truly the cause, then once the cause is planted, the effect is inevitable. Not because you force it, but because the law is faithful. The seed becomes a tree, not because you stare at the soil, but because it is the nature of the seed to grow when planted. So it is with the imaginal act, when you have truly entered the state, when you have felt it as real, and especially when you have fallen asleep in that feeling, you have planted. And what you have planted must bear fruit in its own season. Now I say season, not to delay you, but to free you from the anxious measuring of hours. Some things appear quickly, some things appear through a longer bridge of events. But once the state is entered, once the seed is accepted, there is a certainty beneath the surface, and your task is not to dig up the seed with worry. Your task is to leave it alone. This is where many fail, not because they lack imagination, but because they cannot stop interfering. They perform an imaginal act at night, and then they rise in the morning and immediately return to the old inner conversation. They look at the same numbers, the same bills, the same circumstances, and they say, nothing has changed. And in saying so, they re-enter the old state. They uproot the seed before it can take hold. They do not realize they are doing it. So I tell you, once you have planted, do not turn back and declare the opposite. Do not spend the day confessing lack. Do not rehearse the problem like a prayer. If the old thought arises, do not panic. Simply, do not feed it. Return gently to the feeling of being provided for. Return to your inner room of sufficiency. Let it be your chosen dwelling place. Now I must mention what I call the bridge of incidents, but I will mention it in a way that does not create obsession. The bridge of incidents is simply the natural series of events that lead you from where you seem to be to the fulfillment of your imaginal act. If you were to see the bridge all at once, it might frighten you, because the mind likes straight lines and simple plans. But the bridge is often woven through ordinary days. It is made of conversations, meetings, impulses, openings, and changes that appear natural. So natural, in fact, that when the fulfillment arrives, many say it happens so normally. I almost forgot I had imagined it. That is how the law works. It does not come with a trumpet. It comes clothed in the garments of ordinary life. So do not demand that the bridge look a certain way. Do not insist that money come by one channel. Do not say, it must come from this person, by this date, through this exact method. That is the mind trying to control. That is the old habit of anxiety disguised as planning. Leave the bridge alone. Your subconscious is wiser than your conscious mind. It knows routes you cannot see. It can move people without their knowing why. It can open doors you did not even know existed. It can lead you through what seems like coincidence, but is in fact the echo of your imaginal act. Your work is not to design the bridge. Your work is to live in the end. Your work is to occupy the state. Your work is to accept within yourself that money is moving toward you, that provision is natural, that you are supported, and then to fall asleep in that acceptance. That is planting. That is faith. That is the creative act. Now let me speak again to the one who says, but Neville, is imagination really that powerful? Isn't it just in the mind? My friends, everything is in the mind, though men do not know it. Your entire world is experienced within consciousness. The body you call yours, the room you sit in, the voices you hear, the sensations, the memories, these all exist as impressions in consciousness. You might say, but the table is outside me. Yet you never know the table outside consciousness. You know only your experience of it, and that experience is in the mind. So the distinction between inner and outer is not what people think. The outer world is not independent. It is the projection, the outpicturing of inner states. This is why a man can live in abundance in the same city where another lives in lack. It is why one can see opportunity where another sees only obstacles. It is why one can be supported while another feels alone, though they walk the same streets. They are living in different states. So I do not ask you to worship imagination as an idea. I ask you to test it. If you were to imagine something simple, with feeling and persist, you would see it appear. And once you see it appear in the small, you will know it can appear in the great. The law does not change with the size of the desire. Only your acceptance changes. This is why I gave the ladder experiment to those who doubted. I asked them to imagine climbing a ladder, feeling the rungs under their hands, night after night, and then during the day to say, I will not climb a ladder. And yet they found themselves climbing ladders. They did not do it to please me. They did it to prove the law to themselves, and in proving it, they were freed from superstition. They were freed from chance. They were freed from the belief that life is random. For if imagination can produce a ladder, it can produce money. If it can produce an ordinary event, it can produce an extraordinary one. To the subconscious, there is no difference. There is only impression. Now, you may be thinking, but money involves other people. Money involves the world. My friends, the world is not outside consciousness. People are not outside consciousness. The entire drama is within, and consciousness is the one and only reality. So do not be frightened by the appearance of complexity. The law handles complexity without effort. The law does not labor. It moves, it arranges, it shifts. Your part remains simple. Enter the state. And how do you enter it? Not by arguing, not by repeating words like a charm, not by forcing yourself into excitement. You enter it by feeling a scene as real. You enter it by allowing the body to respond with relief as though it were already done. So tonight, when you lie down, if you feel your mind wanting to chase thoughts, do not scold it. Simply guide it like you would guide a tired child back to bed. Bring it back to one simple scene, one simple implication. Perhaps it is the moment you pay a bill with ease. Perhaps it is the moment you see a balance that makes you breathe freely. Perhaps it is the moment you receive a message that says, it has come through. Keep it brief, keep it gentle, and then feel the relief. And let me emphasize again, it is not the scene alone that matters. It is the feeling of reality. It is the acceptance. It is the inner yes that says, this is mine. When that yes is present, the seed is planted. And once planted, it begins to grow in the dark. This is why sleep is your friend, because sleep protects the seed. Sleep quiets the mind that would dig it up. Sleep allows the impression to sink deeper. Sleep is the chamber where the subconscious receives without contradiction. So if you are growing drowsy as you listen now, be glad. Drowsiness is not a failure. Drowsiness is the doorway. The more the day's sharp edges soften, the more easily the imaginal act becomes real. And the more real it becomes, the more inevitable the outer expression. Now I want you to begin trusting yourself again. Many have become afraid of their own minds. They think, if I have a negative thought, I have ruined everything. No. A passing thought is not the same as a state. A cloud passing across the sun does not change the season. Do not give your passing moods the authority of a permanent identity. Choose your state. Return to it gently. Persist, not with strain, but with quiet preference. It is like living in a house. You may step into the hallway for a moment, but you return to your room. In time, the room becomes home. In time, the state becomes natural. And when it becomes natural, it externalizes. This is the meaning of inevitability. It is not that you force the world. It is that you become the kind of person for whom the world must reflect the new state. It is that you occupy the end, and the end contains within it all the means. It is that you choose the state of being provided for, and then life, being lawful, arranges the bridge that leads you into the visible experience of provision. So do not treat imagination as a toy. Do not treat it as fantasy. It is the cause. It is the creator. It is the very power by which your world takes shape. And if you have used it unconsciously to create worry, you can use it consciously now to create ease. Tonight, you will not lie down as one who is trying to force money into being. You will lie down as one who enters the state in which money is already moving toward you. You will let a simple imaginal act be felt as real. You will allow the body to soften into relief. You will fall asleep in possession, quietly, gently, without needing to know the bridge, without needing to supervise the unfolding. And as you sleep, the seed will be nourished. The subconscious will begin its work. The bridge of incidents will begin to form. People will be moved. Opportunities will arise. Ideas will appear. Channels will open. Not by your anxious effort, but by law. So if you are listening still, let your mind rest on this as a simple truth. Imagination is the cause. It is not fantasy. And what you accept as real in imagination, you will one day experience as fact. This is why you can fall asleep now in the feeling of being provided for, and wake to find money moving toward you, quietly, naturally, inevitably, because you have moved within. And now, in the next part, I will take you into the practical art of using the moments before sleep, the state akin to sleep, so that the imaginal act impresses the subconscious with such power and such naturalness that it must externalize. But for now, rest in this understanding. You are not dreaming idly. You are creating deliberately, and the law is faithful. Now let me speak to you about the night, my friends, and about why these moments, the moments when the body is growing heavy and the mind is beginning to soften, are not an obstacle to your desire, but the very doorway through which it enters the world. There is a reason so many of the greatest changes in a person's life begin when he is no longer trying. There is a reason the seed grows in darkness. There is a reason the body heals most deeply when you are asleep. There is a reason clarity often comes after you have stopped forcing yourself to find it. Life has always favored the quiet hour. Life has always done its most faithful work when you have finally let go. And it is the same with the imaginal act. In the day, the senses are loud. The day demands evidence. The day pulls your attention to what appears fixed and final. The day shows you numbers, letters, bills, faces, and it says, this is reality. And the mind, trained by years of living through the senses, responds by arguing. It reasons. It protests. It says, how can I feel provided for when I see lack? How can I assume the end when I have no proof? How can I accept what is not yet visible? And that arguing is not harmless. It is resistance. It is the gatekeeper of the subconscious standing at the door saying, no, not yet. But the night is different. As you drift towards sleep, the senses begin to dim. The sharp edges of the day soften. The mind's constant commentary grows quieter. The great critic in you, the one who measures and doubts and demands proof, becomes tired. It loosens its grip. And in that loosening, the subconscious stands open. This is what I have called the state akin to sleep. It is not full sleep, and it is not full waking. It is a borderland, a twilight interval between the two. The body is heavy and relaxed. The breath is slower. The mind is dreamy. You are still aware, but you are not sharply alert. You could move if you wished, but you have little desire to. You are not fighting the moment. You are slipping. And in that slipping, something precious happens. The critical mind loses power. Now understand what that means. The critical mind is not your enemy, but it is often your barrier. It is the part of you that says, be reasonable. It is the part of you that says, look at the facts. It is the part of you that says, don't get your hopes up. It is the part of you that equates imagination with foolishness and calls faith a risk. During the day, this part can dominate. It can interrupt the imaginal act with constant questions. It can pull you out of the feeling by reminding you of the opposite. It can insist on judging the unseen by what is seen. And so many try to imagine in the day, but they do it with one foot in the old state. They imagine for a moment, then they check the world, then they doubt, then they return to fear. They plant and uproot, and they wonder why nothing grows. But in the state akin to sleep, that constant checking is weakened. The mind is too tired to argue with you. The senses are too dim to shout their objections. The body is too relaxed to hold the same tension. And the subconscious, that deep, womb of creation receives impressions with far greater ease. This is why the night is the moment of power. Not because there is magic in the darkness, but because there is less resistance, and the law does not require strain. It requires acceptance. It requires impression. It requires the feeling of reality, and the feeling of reality is far easier to assume when you are not being attacked by the senses every second. Now I want to speak to you about something that many have misunderstood, the value of tiredness. Most people think tiredness is the enemy. They say, I am too tired to imagine. I am too tired to concentrate. My mind is foggy. I will do it tomorrow when I feel sharper. And then tomorrow comes, and the same strain returns, and they delay again and again. But tiredness, my friends, is not always your enemy. Sometimes it is your ally. Tiredness is the signal that the conscious mind has been exhausted by the day. It is the sign that the guard at the gate is weakening. It is the sign that the door is opening. For what keeps the subconscious closed is not the lack of desire. It is the vigilance of the conscious mind, the constant evaluating and controlling. When you are tired, you stop evaluating so much. You stop controlling so much. You begin to let go, and letting go is precisely what allows the imaginal act to sink. So do not condemn yourself if you are tired. Do not think you are doing it wrong because you cannot hold a sharp picture. You do not need a sharp picture. You need a real feeling. And the feeling often becomes most real when the body is relaxed and the mind is softened. A child does not strain to imagine. A child drifts into imagination. He plays, he enters, he accepts. He does not argue. And in that simple acceptance, he is nearer to the kingdom than the clever adult who tries to force belief through willpower. So if you are tired, let the tiredness become your friend. Let it soften you. Let it slow you. Let it quiet the noisy mind that has been trying to control life. Now you may ask, but Neville, what if I fall asleep too quickly? What if I begin the scene and then I'm gone? My friends, that is not a failure. That is the very perfection of the method. Dorming does not ruin the process. It completes it. You see, the greatest impression is the one you carry into sleep. The moment you slip over the edge, that last moment where the conscious mind fades, is the moment the subconscious takes the feeling and makes it its own. That is why I have urged men and women to fall asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Not to struggle to stay awake, not to force the mind to keep repeating, but to let sleep seal the impression, for the subconscious is like fertile soil. When you plant the seed, and then cover it with darkness, it begins its work, and sleep is that covering. Sleep is that protective veil. Sleep keeps you from interfering. Sleep stops you from checking and doubting. Sleep allows the seed to remain undisturbed long enough for it to take root. So I say it again, softly, as though speaking to the part of you that worries about doing it right. Even if you sleep, it is working. Even if you hear only half of what I say, it is working. Even if you drift and your thoughts wander, it is working. Even if you fall asleep before you finish your scene, it is working. The subconscious does not need your conscious supervision. It needs your impression. And the impression is made most easily when you are relaxed, when you are drifting, when you are near sleep. Now let me explain this in a way that will make it feel obvious to you. Think of how you learn a song. If you try to force it with tension, you stumble. But if you hum it gently, if you allow it to become natural, it enters you. It becomes part of you, it begins to play in you without effort. In the same way, the state you desire must become natural. It must become like a tune that plays quietly beneath your day. And the night is when the tune is learned most easily, because the mind is not fighting it. The night is when the new state can be impressed without argument. The night is when you can wear a new garment without the world tugging at it every second. This is why I say the state akin to sleep is the golden moment. It is not a time for strain. It is a time for gentle repetition. It is a time for entering and re-entering the feeling. not as one trying to get something, but as one experiencing what is already true. Now I want you to notice the softness in your body if you are listening in bed. Perhaps your legs feel heavier, perhaps your arms feel warmer, perhaps the breath is slower, perhaps the eyelids are pulling downward. This is not a problem. This is the door opening. The mind may still try to hold on. It may still want to ask questions. It may still want to plan. But you can let those questions float by without answering them. Questions, when asked from fear, are only another form of resistance. And you do not need to answer them now. You only need to enter the state. So let the night take your hand. Let it guide you. Let it bring you into the simple feeling of being provided for. Let it bring you into the quiet certainty that money is moving toward you. Let it bring you into the sense that the matter is already handled. And here is something else to understand. The subconscious does not receive impressions through strain. It receives them through surrender. If you try too hard, you remain in the state of trying. And trying is not having. Trying is not possession. Trying is effort. But when you surrender, when you let the body relax and the mind soften, you naturally enter the feeling of it is done. And that feeling, that quiet completion, is what the subconscious accepts. So the night is not merely a time of rest, it is the workshop of creation. It is the hour when you stop interfering with the law and allow it to move. Most people use the night to rehearse their problems. They lie down and replay the day's troubles. They argue with people in their mind. They fear tomorrow. They count what they lack. They whisper, "How will I pay this? What if it gets worse?" And in doing so, they plant those fears in the soil of the subconscious. Then they rise and are shocked to find the same patterns repeating. But you will not do that tonight. You will not carry the problem into sleep like a stone. You will carry the solution as a feeling. You will carry relief. You will carry the sense of being supported. You will carry the quiet, knowing that money is already moving toward you. And if you do, the subconscious will do what it always does. It will begin to externalize the state. Now, externalization does not always mean that money drops into your lap in a dramatic way. It may, but you must not demand it. Externalization means the world begins to rearrange itself. It means events begin to shift. It means doors open. It means ideas come. It means people are moved. It means opportunities arise. It means the bridge of incidents forms. And the bridge will be natural. It will not feel like a miracle while you are walking it. It will feel like life. But when you arrive, you will look back and see that every step was arranged. This is why you must not become obsessed with watching for signs. The day after you plant a seed, you do not dig up the soil to see if it is growing. If you did, you would destroy it. And yet so many do this with their imaginal acts. They imagine at night, and then they wake and immediately dig it up with doubt. They say, "Is it working? Is it coming? Did I do it right?" And they disturb the seed. So learn from the night. Let the seed remain buried. Let the work be done in secret. I tell you again, even if you sleep, it is working. Even if you do nothing more tonight than fall asleep in relief, it is working. Even if you cannot hold a perfect picture, it is working. Because the subconscious responds to the tone you carry into sleep. Now you might ask, what tone should I carry? Not excitement, not desperation, not begging, not trying. Carry the tone of completion. Carry the tone of it is taken care of. Carry the tone of I am supported. Carry the tone of money is moving toward me. Now, let it be gentle. Let it be quiet. Let it be so natural that you do not have to argue for it. When you can feel even a small sense of relief, you have entered the state. And this is the final thing I will say in this portion, before we move into the practice itself. Do not fear sleep. Do not fear drifting. Do not fear losing consciousness. Sleep is your friend. Sleep is the seal. Sleep is the chamber where the imaginal act sinks and becomes a living seed. So if you are already half asleep, let yourself go. If your thoughts are slowing, let them slow. If your body is heavy, let it be heavy. There is nothing you must hold up. There is nothing you must carry. You have carried enough. Now you may rest. And while you rest, the deeper self will work. Even if you sleep, it is working. And in the next part, I will guide you very simply, very gently, into the exact feeling you will carry into sleep tonight, so that you fall asleep in possession and awaken to money moving toward you in the most natural and inevitable ways. Now, my friends, we come to the part that most people think will be complicated, and yet it is the simplest part of all. And because it is simple, many overlook it, searching for something dramatic, something difficult, something that proves they are doing it. But you do not need drama. You do not need difficulty. You do not need to labor in your imagination, as though imagination were a heavy task. Tonight is not about strain. It is about a gentle movement into a feeling, not a long scene, not a complicated story, not a great performance that exhausts you, just a feeling, a state, a quiet inner atmosphere that you are willing to wear as you fall asleep. So I will not ask you to picture great sums. I will not ask you to count numbers. I will not ask you to imagine the entire chain of events that only awakens the mind and invites it to argue. And argument is resistance. Instead, I will guide you to what the subconscious truly receives. It receives the feeling. It receives the tone. It receives the inner yes. And when it receives that, it begins to arrange your world accordingly. So what shall you feel tonight? Relief, tranquility, certainty. Not the loud certainty that boasts and demands, but the quiet certainty that rests. The certainty that does not need to convince anyone. The certainty that feels like putting down a weight you have carried too long. The certainty that feels like exhaling after holding your breath for years. If money were truly moving toward you already, now, what would you feel? You would not feel panic. You would not feel urgency. You would not feel desperation. You would feel relief. You would feel it is handled. You would feel I am taken care of. You would feel that subtle loosening in the chest that comes when the mind stops gripping. So let us begin there. You do not have to force relief. You do not have to pretend. You only have to allow the smallest taste of it. Even a fraction is enough to begin. The seed is small, yet it contains a tree. A tiny shift in feeling, if accepted, can rearrange your world. Now, as you lie there, whether you are fully awake or already drifting, let your body receive one simple suggestion. You do not have to chase money. Let the words settle gently. I do not have to chase money. And now, let this follow as naturally as the next breath. I do not chase money, I allow it. Say it inwardly, softly, as though you were speaking to yourself in a quiet room. Do not say it with force. Do not shout it in your mind. Whisper it like truth. You are remembering. Not like a spell you are trying to make work. I do not chase money. I allow it. Now pause and notice what happens in the body when you say that. Perhaps there is a softening. Perhaps the stomach releases a little. Perhaps the shoulders drop. Perhaps the breath becomes slower. That is the beginning of the state. That is the beginning of the new room in the house of consciousness. Now I want you to feel money as movement, not as a struggle, not as a fight, not as something you must wrestle from the world. Money as movement toward you, like the tide coming in, like dawn approaching, like a letter traveling through the world toward your hands. You do not stand at the edge of the sea and pull the tide in with your arms. You do not stand at the horizon and drag the sun up with effort. These things move by law, quietly, surely. And money, my friends, moves the same way when the state is entered. So tonight, do not imagine yourself running after money. Do not imagine yourself begging. Do not imagine yourself striving. Instead, imagine, very simply, what it feels like to realize it is on its way. You have felt that before in other matters. You have known the moment when you realize help is coming. Perhaps you did not see it yet, but you knew. Something inside you settled. You stopped searching. You stopped worrying. You said, all right, it is handled. That is the feeling I want you to borrow tonight and place upon money. Not excitement, but the calm knowing of inevitability. Now I will give you a simple way to do this without effort. Do not build a long picture. Choose one small implication. Only one. The implication might be as simple as this. You are lying in bed, and you feel a gentle smile come to your lips, because you suddenly remember, I don't have to worry anymore. You do not even need to name the reason. The subconscious understands implication far better than explanation. The subconscious is moved by the mood, so let the mood be, the burden is lifted. Or the implication might be as simple as hearing a phrase in your mind that you would naturally hear if money were already moving toward you. Something like, that came through, or it worked out, or I'm covered, or even, of course, it's done. Do not analyze the words. Let them be ordinary. Let them be natural. The most powerful imaginal acts feel ordinary while they are happening. They carry the tones of reality. So choose one phrase, only one, and let it repeat softly, like a lullaby, not like a demand. It's done. It's handled. I'm covered. And as you repeat it, do not try to see anything. Simply feel what those words would mean in your body. Feel the relief. Feel the calm. Feel the quiet certainty. Now, if the mind tries to interrupt, if it says, but how, do not answer. Answering how is returning to the old room. It is returning to the state of trying. We are not trying tonight. We are accepting. So when the mind says how, you simply return to the feeling, it's handled, and you let the body soften again. If the mind says when, you return to the feeling, it's on its way. If the mind says, what if it doesn't? You return to the feeling, it is already moving. Now notice how gentle this is. There is no struggle here. There is no wrestling. There is no long scene to maintain. This is why it works so well for sleep, because sleep does not require your effort. Sleep requires your release. And this practice is release. Now I want you to feel something else that is very important. Money moving toward you does not feel like chasing. It feels like receiving. So let yourself feel receptive. Let the hands be open, not clenched. Let the jaw be soft, not tight. Let the breath be slow, not rushed. Let the heart be quiet, not braced. Receiving is a state. It is a posture. And if you fall asleep in that posture, you impress it upon the subconscious, and it begins to externalize it. So quietly, inwardly, you may say, now I am ready to receive, not as a desperate plea, as a calm statement. I am ready to receive, and then, I do not chase money. I allow it. I am ready to receive. Money is moving toward me. Now do not say these quickly. Do not rush. Let each phrase be followed by a small pause, as though you are allowing it to sink into the deeper part of you. I do not chase money. I allow it. Pause. I am ready to receive. Pause. Money is moving toward me now. Pause. It is handled. Now you may notice that, as you say these softly, you begin to feel drowsier. That is good. That is perfect. That is the door opening. You do not need to stay awake to finish. The finishing is falling asleep in the feeling. So if sleep is coming, let it come. But if you are still awake, I will deepen this just a little more, still without effort. Feel what it would be like to wake tomorrow morning with a quieter mind. Not because you saw the money already, but because you know it is in motion. Because something has shifted in the unseen. Because the bridge has begun to form. Because you have planted the state. So imagine very gently the first moment of waking. You open your eyes, and instead of the old weight in your chest, there is calm. There is the simple sense of, today is different. Not because you are forcing yourself to be positive, but because you feel supported, you feel guided, you feel provided for. That calm morning feeling is the state. That is the room you are entering, and if you fall asleep in that room, you will wake with its atmosphere around you. Now again, do not make it a long story. Do not add details. Simply feel the tone of that morning ease. Now let the words return, slowly, like waves. I do not chase money, I allow it. Money is moving toward me. I am provided for. It is done. Do not hurry. Let the phrases be soft. Let them be few. The subconscious is not impressed by volume. It is impressed by reality. A few words, felt, are worth more than 1,000 words repeated, without feeling. And if you find yourself thinking, but I'm not sure I feel it, then do not fight. Feeling is not always a great emotion. Feeling can be as subtle as a small sigh. Feeling can be as simple as the body loosening. Feeling can be the quiet willingness to believe for a moment. That is enough. So even if all you can do tonight is soften your body and whisper, "It's handled," that is a powerful act. Because it is not the size of the imaginal act that matters. It is the acceptance. Now I will speak again in a slower tone because some of you are already drifting. And I want these words to be like a gentle hand guiding you, not pulling you. You do not chase money, you allow it. Money is moving toward you. The burden is lifting. You are supported, you are provided for. It is already in motion. And even if you sleep, it is working. Now stay with the simplicity. Let the mind stop performing. Let the body rest. Let the night do its work. If an anxious thought rises, do not wrestle it. Simply let it pass and return to the feeling of relief. Return to the room. Return to the garment. Return to the quiet. Certainty. It is done. Money is moving toward me now. I do not chase money, I allow it. And if your breathing is slower, if your eyes are heavier, if your thoughts are drifting, let it happen. That is not losing control. That is entering the very state that creates, for what you feel as you fall asleep becomes law. And tonight, you fall asleep, not as the one who is chasing, but as the one who is receiving. Money is moving toward you now, and even if you sleep, it is working. Now I will speak more quietly, more slowly, as though speaking to the deepest part of you. And if you are already drifting, if your thoughts are soft and your body is heavy, let it be so. You do not need to hold yourself awake for this. In fact, it is best if you do not. These words are not meant for the anxious surface of the mind. They are meant for the listener beneath it. There is a consciousness in you that receives without argument. There is a level of you that does not debate. It does not measure. It does not demand proof. It only accepts. And what it accepts, it expresses. That is the nature of the subconscious. It is faithful. It is steady. It is fertile. It is the womb of your world. So as I speak now, there is nothing you must do. You do not need to repeat after me. You do not need to strain to follow. You only need to be here. And if here becomes sleep, that is perfect. Subconscious mind, you are safe. You are safe to soften. You are safe to let go. You are safe to release the old weight. You are safe to accept what is good. You are safe to receive. You are safe now. And because you are safe, you can allow the body to relax. You can allow the breath to slow. You can allow the mind to grow quiet. You can allow the heart to be still. Everything is all right. Subconscious mind, you accept now the feeling of security. Not forced, not imagined as a distant thing. Accepted now as a present atmosphere. Security, a quiet steadiness. A simple inner knowing. I am supported. I am carried. I am taken care of. Subconscious mind, you accept safety. You accept the ease of being safe. You accept the feeling of being protected by life itself. You accept calm. You accept peace. Everything is all right. Now, and because you accept peace, the body responds. The shoulders soften. The jaw loosens. The breath slows. The mind quiets. The heart rests. Everything is all right. Subconscious mind, you accept provision. You accept the feeling of being provided for. You accept the state of sufficiency. You accept more than enough. You accept abundance as natural. You accept that you are not forgotten. You accept that life supports you. You accept that money moves easily, quietly, lawfully, naturally. Subconscious mind, you accept that money is moving toward you now, not chased, not forced, not begged for, moving toward you by law, moving toward you because you have accepted the state, moving toward you because you are ready to receive, moving toward you through ordinary channels and unexpected channels, moving toward you in ways you do not need to plan, moving toward you in ways you cannot yet see, but it is moving. Now, subconscious mind, you accept worthiness, not the worthiness of pride, not the worthiness that compares itself, the simple worthiness of being alive, the worthiness of being a child of the Most High, the worthiness of being. You accept that you deserve ease. You accept that you deserve support. You accept that you deserve provision. You accept that receiving is safe. You accept that receiving is natural. You accept that you are allowed to have. You are allowed to receive. Subconscious mind, you accept release. Release from strain. Release from worry. Release from the old habit of carrying tomorrow. Release from constant planning born of fear. Release from the need to control. Release now, and as you release, you feel relief. A soft sigh. A loosening. A gentle settling inside. That relief is real. That relief is the sign of acceptance. That relief is the seed taking root. Subconscious mind, you accept flow. You accept that money flows. You accept that life flows. You accept that doors open. You accept that opportunities appear. You accept that good comes easily. You accept that help arrives. You accept that timing is perfect. You accept that the bridge of incidents is forming. Quietly, surely. Without strain. Without forcing. Everything is all right. Subconscious mind, you accept the end. You accept the feeling that it is done. Not done as a dramatic announcement. Done as a quiet inner fact. Done as a calm completion. Done. You accept completion. You accept the feeling of being finished with the old struggle, finished with anxiety, finished with waiting in fear, finished now. And because you accept the end, the means arrange themselves. Because you accept the state, the world mirrors it. Because you accept peace, events conform. Because you accept provision, provision appears. Because you accept security, security externalizes. This is law, and the law is faithful. Subconscious mind, you accept that you do not need to chase. You do not chase money. You allow it, you do not chase support. You allow it. You do not chase relief. You allow it. You do not chase opportunity. You allow it. You do not chase good. You accept it. And what you accept becomes. Everything is all right. Now I want the deepest part of you to feel something very simple. You are not alone. You are not carrying life by yourself. You are not managing the whole world with your mind. There is an order in being. There is a wisdom beneath appearances. There is an intelligence in life, and it is moving now on your behalf. Quietly, gently, surely. Subconscious mind, you accept guidance. You accept being guided. You accept that the right thought comes at the right moment. You accept that the right impulse rises naturally. You accept that the right conversation appears. You accept that the right door opens. You accept that the right person is moved. You accept that things align. You accept that things arrange. You accept that everything necessary is being arranged now. Even while you rest, even while you sleep, it is working. Subconscious mind, you accept ease. Ease in the body, ease in the mind, ease in the heart, ease in the days ahead, ease in finances, ease now. You accept that life can be easy. You accept that it does not require strain to be supported. You accept that it does not require worry to be safe. You accept that it does not require fear to receive. You accept ease, and because you accept ease, the outer begins to soften. Because the outer is only the echo, and the echo must follow the voice. The voice is your state. The voice is your acceptance. The voice is your I am. Subconscious mind, you accept a new I am. You accept I am provided for. You accept I am supported. You accept I am safe. You accept I am worthy. You accept I am receiving. You accept I am the one to whom money comes naturally. You accept I am the one who is taken care of. You accept I am the one who is always covered. You accept I am the one who has enough. You accept it now. Gently, naturally, without strain. Everything is all right. Now if any old fear rises, it passes through like a cloud. It does not belong to you. It is an old garment. You do not have to wear it. You release it. You let it go. You return to the new garment. Relief, security, provision. Flow, subconscious mind. You accept that the past does not have authority. Old mistakes have no authority. Old delays have no authority. Old disappointments have no authority. They are shadows of former states, and former states are not you. You are the operant power. You are awareness itself. You are free to choose again. Now, you accept freedom. Freedom from the old story. Freedom from the old identity. Freedom, now. And as you accept freedom, you accept possibility. You accept that good can come quickly. You accept that help can appear unexpectedly. You accept that the world can rearrange itself with ease. You accept that things can shift in one conversation, in one letter, in one meeting, in one moment. You accept that the bridge can be short. You accept that the bridge can unfold gently. You accept that the bridge is already forming. You accept it. Everything is all right. Subconscious mind, you accept rest, not rest as delay. Rest as power. Rest as faith. Rest as the seal of the imaginal act. Rest. Now. And because you rest, you stop interfering. Because you rest, you stop digging up the seed. Because you rest, you allow the law to work. Because you rest, the subconscious does its work faithfully. Because you rest, the world begins to move. Because you rest, money begins to move. Because you rest, provision comes. Because you rest, you receive. Everything is all right. Now I will speak a little slower still, as though each word is a soft touch upon the mind. You are safe, you are supported, you are provided for. You are worthy, you are receiving. Money is moving toward you now. Quietly, naturally, surely, it is moving. The bridge is forming. The means are arranging. The right events are unfolding. The right channels are opening. The right ideas are coming. The right people are being moved. The right doors are opening. The burden is lifting. The tension is leaving. The old fear is fading. Relief is present. Peace is present. Everything is all right. Now let the body sink a little deeper. Let the breath become softer. Let the eyes rest. Let the mind drift. There is nothing you must hold. There is nothing you must prove. There is nothing you must control. The seed is planted. The state is accepted. The work is underway. Even if you sleep, it is working. Subconscious mind, continue this work through the night. Continue to hold the feeling of relief. Continue to hold the feeling of security. Continue to hold the feeling of provision. Continue to hold the feeling of worthiness. Continue to hold the feeling of receiving. Let these be natural. Let these be normal. Let these be familiar. And as they become familiar, they become fact. As they become normal, the world mirrors them. As they become your dwelling place, your life reshapes itself. Quietly, surely, naturally, everything is all right. Now if sleep is near, let it come. Let it take you gently. Let the last impression be relief. Let the last impression be security. Let the last impression be, it is done. Let the last impression be, money is moving toward me now. Let it be soft. Let it be calm. Let it be real. And even if you sleep, it is working. Everything is all right. Now I will leave space so the feeling can settle, so the body can rest, so the night can do its work, so you can sleep. And while you sleep, it is working. Money is moving toward you now. Good. My friends, we are going to move now into something very simple and yet very powerful. You have already heard enough to understand the principle. You understand that your world is the outpicturing of a state. You understand that money moves towards states, not strain. You understand that the night, this quiet borderland where the senses grow dim, is the perfect doorway, because the critical mind relaxes and the subconscious receives without resistance. Now we will do what the wise always do. We will take the truth and we will make it living. We will take it out of the realm of explanation and bring it into experience. This is the first of the guided visualizations, and I want you to approach it in the right spirit, not as entertainment, not as something you listen to casually, but as a deliberate act of planting. For what you are about to do, whether you remain awake through it or whether you drift into sleep halfway through, will have an incredibly powerful effect upon your subconscious. And I do not say that to impress you. I say it because it is the nature of the subconscious to accept what is felt and to express it as your world. If you allow this visualization to become real in you, even gently, even briefly, it will impress a pattern. It will plant a seed, and once planted, the seed does its work in secret. So if you are lying down, let the body be comfortable. If you are seated, allow yourself to relax as much as you can. You are not required to sit rigidly. You are not required to concentrate with strain. The subconscious does not respond to strain. It responds to acceptance. It responds to the mood you inhabit. If your eyes are open, they may close naturally. If they do not, that is perfectly fine. If your thoughts wander, let them wander. There is a listener beneath thought that receives all of this. And the more you soften, the more deeply it receives. Now, I will guide you into a single state. Not a complicated story, not a long scene, a state. The state of being provided for. And I want you to understand what that means. It does not mean you are trying to make money appear by force. It means you are entering the feeling that would be true if you were already cared for, if your needs were already met, if support were already present, if life were already arranging the details. This is not the excitement of waiting. This is the relief of having. So let us begin with the body, because the body is honest. The body reveals the state you are in. When you are worried, the body tightens. When you are afraid, the breath shortens. When you feel unsafe, the shoulders rise. When you feel you must fight life, the jaw clenches. But the state of being provided for has a different signature. It feels like a quiet loosening. It feels like a slow breath. It feels like the release of the need to brace yourself. So very gently now, allow your shoulders to soften. Not by force, simply by permission. Let them drop a little if they wish to. Let the hands rest where they are. Let the muscles of the face relax. If the tongue is pressed, let it rest. If the brow is tight, let it smooth. Let the breath come a little slower. Do not try to control the breath, just notice it. And as you notice it, it naturally becomes calmer. Now with the next slow breath, let a simple suggestion enter you. I am provided for. Do not shout it. Do not repeat it like a charm. Let it be like a quiet truth you are remembering. Like a warm sentence spoken to you by someone who loves you. Let it fall softly into you. I am provided for. And then pause and notice what those words imply. If you were truly provided for, how would your body feel? It would not feel on edge. It would not feel rushed. It would not feel as though it must keep watch. It would feel relieved. So allow a small sigh, if it comes. A sigh is not small. A sigh is a sign that the body is letting go. A sigh is the beginning of acceptance. Now I want you to imagine something very simple. Not a great picture, not a dramatic scene. Simply imagine that there is an invisible hand beneath your life, steady, quiet, sure, holding you up. You are not falling. You are not about to collapse. You are held. You are supported. You have always been supported more than you knew. And as you imagine being held, let the body receive that idea as a feeling. Let the bed support you. Let the chair support you. Let the ground support you. Feel how you are already being carried in this moment without effort. You are not holding yourself up by will. Something is supporting you right now. Now allow that simple physical fact to become a spiritual fact. Just as you are supported by the surface beneath you, you are supported by life. You are supported by the deeper order of being. You are supported by the God within you, which is your own awareness. And because you are supported, you do not need to strain. Now let us deepen the state gently. Imagine that somewhere in the unseen, arrangements are being made on your behalf. Not in a superstitious way, but in the lawful way I have spoken of. Through the bridge of incidents, people are being moved. Doors are being opened. Ideas are being formed. Opportunities are being prepared. You do not have to see them yet. Seeds do not sprout in front of your eyes. They sprout in darkness, quietly, faithfully. So do not look for proof now. Do not demand evidence in this moment. Simply accept the feeling that something is already in motion. Let the feeling be, it is taken care of. Say it inwardly softly. It is taken care of. Now pause. Let it settle. If it were truly taken care of, your chest would soften, your stomach would loosen, your breath would slow, your mind would stop circling. So let it, it is taken care of. Now I want to guide you into a small imaginal implication, only one. This is not a long story. It is a single moment that implies provision. Imagine that you have just received very good news. It does not matter how it came. It does not matter through whom. It does not matter what the path was. You are not concerned with the means. You are living in the end. So imagine that you are holding a simple letter in your hands. It might be a note, it might be a statement, it might be a message. You do not need to see every detail, just enough to feel it. Feel the paper between your fingers. Feel the slight texture. Feel the weight of it, light, ordinary, real. Now imagine you read a line that makes your whole body soften. A line that tells you, approved, or cleared, or paid in full, or funds released, or simply, it has been arranged. Choose one phrase that feels natural to you. Do not force poetry. The subconscious loves the ordinary. Choose something you would actually say, something you would actually feel. And as you read that line, allow the body to respond with relief. Perhaps you feel warmth in the chest. With thirst you feel a quiet smile. Perhaps tears come, not of sadness, but of release. Let whatever comes be natural. This is the state. This relief is the state. Now if the mind tries to interrupt and say, but it's not true, do not argue. Do not wrestle. That is only the old critic. It is tired now. Let it fade. Return to the feeling. Return to the relief. Return to the quiet knowing, I am provided for. Now let the letter fade if it wishes. You do not have to hold pictures. You only need to hold the tone. The tone is, I am safe. I am covered. I am supported. So rest in that tone. Breathe with it. Now let us add one more gentle element. Imagine the next morning. Very softly, you wake, and you do not wake with dread. You wake with calm. You wake with the feeling that you do not have to rush into fear. You do not have to brace yourself. There is an ease in you, a steadiness. You may not yet see the outer results, but you feel different. And because you feel different, you know the seed is planted. You know the bridge is forming. You know life is already rearranging itself to match what you have accepted. So feel the morning calm. Not excitement, calm, not frantic hope, quiet certainty. Now say inwardly, I am provided for. Let it be slow. I am provided for. Not again, even slower. I am provided for. Now pause, and let the body believe it for a moment. Just for a moment, let it be true. In that moment, the subconscious receives. In that moment, the seed is planted. Now, I want you to understand something. The power of this is not in how long you hold it, but in how naturally you accept it. A single moment of true acceptance is more powerful than hours of strained repetition. The subconscious is impressed by reality, not by effort. So if you can feel it quietly, naturally, then you have done enough. Now let the feeling deepen into a simple gratitude, not forced gratitude, not gratitude as a technique, gratitude as the natural fragrance of possession. When you truly feel provided for, gratitude rises like breath. So you might whisper inwardly, thank you. Not to beg, not to bargain, but because the state feels real. Thank you. And then let the words fade and let the feeling remain. Now I will speak directly, slowly, as though speaking to the subconscious itself, because I am. Subconscious mind, accept now the state of being provided for. Accept security. Accept support. Accept sufficiency. Accept ease. Accept the feeling of being covered. Accept the feeling of being guided. Accept the feeling of money moving naturally into your life. Accept it now, quietly, gently, naturally. Subconscious mind, take this feeling and build it into form. Take this feeling and express it as circumstances. Take this feeling and shape the bridge of incidents. Move the people. Open the doors. Arrange the details. Bring the opportunities. Bring the ideas. Bring the channels. Bring the means. All in perfect order. All in perfect timing. Subconscious mind, you do not need the conscious mind's permission anymore. You have received the state. You have received the seed. You will now bring forth the harvest. And as you do, the one who sleeps will be safe. The one who rests will be supported. The one who lets go will be carried. Everything is all right. Now, my friends, if sleep is coming, let it come. Do not resist it. Do not think you must stay awake to finish. Sleep is the seal. Sleep is the perfect closing of the act. Sleep carries the impression into the deeper mind where it can grow undisturbed. So if you feel yourself drifting, drift into the feeling of being provided for. If you are already half asleep, let the last thought be simple: I am provided for. If you wake in the night, return softly to the same state. No struggle, no checking, no measuring. Just the feeling: I am provided for. And even if you sleep, it is working. Even in sleep, the subconscious is faithful. Even in sleep, the seed grows. Even in sleep, the bridge forms. Even in sleep, money begins to move in ways you cannot yet see. And you will wake, not necessarily to fireworks, but to a different life, a different tone, a different set of circumstances beginning to unfold. And you will know it began here, not in strain, not in chasing, but in the quiet acceptance of a state. Now rest, let the body be heavy, let the breath be slow, let the heart be calm. You are provided for. Everything is all right. My friends, let us go on now, very gently, into the next guided visualization. If you are already drowsy, do not resist it. If you are still awake, do not try to hold yourself rigidly alert. This is not an exercise of strain. It is an act of entering. It is the simple art of falling asleep in the wish fulfilled. And I want you to remember what you have already heard. The subconscious does not respond to your arguments. It does not respond to your worries. It responds to what you feel as real. It responds to the state you occupy. And the moments before sleep, the state akin to sleep, are the most fertile, the most receptive, because the critical mind relaxes and the deeper self receives. So approach this as a planting, not as a performance, not as a test you might fail, but as a gentle surrender into a state that is already yours to wear. Now settle your body, let the shoulders soften, let the jaw loosen, let the hands rest, let the breath slow. Do not force the breath, just allow it. If a sigh comes, let it come. A sigh is the body's way of saying, I no longer need to hold this so tightly. And as you settle, let me say something to you, with great tenderness. If you have been struggling financially, if money has felt like a constant weight, if you have been waiting, hoping, worrying, you have not been weak. You have simply been living in a state that taught you to chase. Tonight, we shift the state. Tonight, we do not chase. Tonight, we receive. Now I will guide you into one simple experience, the feeling that money is already moving toward you. Not money as a number, not money as a distant dream, money as movement, money as a gentle inevitability, money as something already set in motion by your acceptance. So begin by letting this sentence fall softly into you, like a warm blanket. I do not chase money, I allow it. Say it inwardly, quietly, as though you are speaking to yourself in the dark. Do not shout it. Do not demand. Let it be a remembering. I do not chase money. I allow it. And now pause. Do not rush. Notice what happens in the body when you say that. Does the chest loosen a little? Does the stomach soften? Does the breath deepen, even slightly? That is enough. That is the state beginning to take hold. Now let the next sentence come just as gently. Money is moving toward me now. Not as a question, not as a hope, as a quiet statement, as though you have already been informed that it is in motion. Money is moving toward me now. Pause again. Let the words settle. Let them sink deeper than thought. Now you may notice the mind wanting to ask, how? And if it does, do not answer. The how is not your work. The how belongs to the bridge of incidents. The bridge is built by the subconscious. Your conscious mind sees only a few steps. The deeper mind sees the entire path. So when the mind asks, how, you simply return to the feeling. It is moving. It is already in motion. Now, let us enter the wish fulfilled in the simplest way. The wish fulfilled is not a distant picture. It is a present mood. It is the inner tone that would be true if your desire were already realized. So ask yourself very quietly, without strain, if I truly knew that money was already on its way, what would I feel? You would feel relief. You would feel a lightening. You would feel that you can stop bracing. You would feel you do not have to keep rehearsing fear. So let the body accept that relief now, even if only as a small shift. Let the shoulders drop a little. Let the forehead smooth. Let the tongue rest. Let the breath be slower. Let the heart be quieter. This is not pretending. This is entering. This is the wish fulfilled. Now I will give you a very short imaginal scene. Only one. And it is not to be held with effort. It is to be touched, felt, and then allowed to carry you into sleep. Imagine, very simply, that you are holding something in your hand. It might be an envelope, it might be a letter, it might be a small piece of paper. Do not struggle to see it clearly, just enough to feel it. Feel the texture, feel the weight, light, ordinary, real. Now imagine you open it. Again, no strain, just the gentle movement. And inside is a message that tells you what you needed has come through. It may be a notice. It may be a simple line. It may be a confirmation. You do not need details, only implication. And as you read it, you feel the wish fulfilled. You feel the sudden loosening inside. You feel the quiet joy. You feel the relief of being covered. You feel it is done. Let that be the feeling. Now, if your mind tries to turn this into a long story, let it go. We do not need long stories. We need the end. The end is relief. The end is being provided for. The end is the quiet certainty that the matter is handled. So allow yourself to feel that now. And if sleep comes, let it come. Sleep is not an interruption. Sleep is the seal. The moment you drift off in the feeling is the moment the subconscious receives it most deeply. Now, let the scene fade and keep only the feeling. Keep only the tone. The tone is, it is already moving. The tone is, I am covered. The tone is, I am provided for. And now, very gently, imagine the next day, not as a complicated day, but as a feeling. You wake, and instead of dread, there is calm. Instead of tightness, there is ease. You do not wake with the old question, how will I manage? You wake with a quiet knowing, it is underway. So feel that morning calm now. Let the body believe it for a moment. Let the breath carry it, and whisper inwardly, money is moving toward me. Pause. It is already on its way. Pause. I do not chase, I allow. Pause. Now some of you may feel a gentle resistance. A part of you may say, this is too easy. That part has been trained by struggle. It believes you must earn peace by suffering. But the law does not require suffering. The law requires acceptance. And acceptance is often quiet. So do not try to convince the resisting part. Simply do not feed it. Return to the feeling again. Return to relief. Return to it. It is done. Now to deepen this state, I will guide you into a small, ordinary moment that would be true if money were moving toward you. Imagine you are paying for something simple, not a grand purchase, just an ordinary moment. And you pay with ease. You do not calculate in fear. You do not hesitate. You do not feel the old tightening. You simply pay, calmly, because you are covered. Feel how ordinary that is. The subconscious loves the ordinary. The ordinary carries the tones of reality. So feel the ease. Feel the calm confidence. Feel the absence of strain. And now let a small gratitude rise. Not forced, not performed, but natural. You might whisper, thank you. Not because you are begging, but because the state feels real. Thank you. And then you let it go. Now I will speak slowly, as though I am speaking to the deeper mind beneath your thoughts. You do not have to repeat, you only have to receive. Subconscious mind, accept now the state of the wish fulfilled. Accept the feeling of relief. Accept the feeling of being covered. Accept the feeling of provision. Accept the feeling of money moving toward you. Accept the quiet certainty. It is in motion. Accept it now. Let it be natural. Let it be normal. Let it be familiar. Now you may drift. You may sleep. That is perfect. Because in sleep, the seed is protected. In sleep, you stop interfering. In sleep, the subconscious does its work faithfully. Even if you sleep, it is working. Money is moving toward you now. The bridge is forming. The means are arranging. The right events are unfolding. The right conversations are coming. The right doors are opening. The right opportunities are appearing. Quietly, naturally, lawfully. Now rest deeper. Let the bed hold you. Let the breath be slow. Let the mind be soft. And let the last feeling be the wish fulfilled. The wish fulfilled is not I hope. The wish fulfilled is it is done. So whisper it inwardly. It is done. Pause. It is done. Pause. And now, softly, money is moving toward me. Pause. I do not chase money, I allow it. Pause. Now let those words fade into feeling. Let the feeling remain. Relief, ease, certainty. And if you wake in the night, do not check the world. Do not measure. Simply return to the state. Return to the feeling. Return to the wish fulfilled. It is done. Money is moving toward me, I allow it. And then, drift again. Because the night is the workshop. The night is the womb. The night is where the seed grows unseen. And you do not need to watch it. You only need to plant it. So sleep now, if sleep is coming. Sleep in relief. Sleep in certainty. Sleep in the wish fulfilled. And while you sleep, it is working. Money is moving toward you now. My friends, come with me now into something deeper than technique, deeper than getting, deeper even than the desire itself. If you are lying down, let the body be comfortable. If you are seated, let the spine be easy, not rigid. You do not need to hold yourself alert. You do not need to prove anything. This is a night visualization, and it is meant to work with the night, not against it. If your eyes are open, they may close. If they do not, it is perfectly fine. If you feel drowsy, let it happen. Drowsiness is not a mistake. It is the sacred doorway. It is the state in which the critical mind grows quiet and the deeper mind receives without resistance. And what you allow yourself to feel in this interval has an astonishing power, because it is impressed upon the subconscious and then expressed as your world. Now, this visualization is not simply about money. It is about peace. It is about the source from which all things come. It is about returning to the only power that has ever moved anything in your life, your own awareness of being. So I will speak slowly, tenderly, as though speaking not to the surface mind that argues, but to the part of you that simply knows. And if you fall asleep while I speak, do not worry. In fact, it is ideal. The subconscious will still hear the tone. It will still receive the feeling. It will still accept the state. And it will still do its work. Now let us begin with the simplest fact of your existence. You are aware. Before you name yourself, before you recall your history, before you consider your worries, there is a quiet sense that says, I am. That is the root. That is the foundation. That is the one reality behind every experience. So do not strain to understand. Simply notice, even in the dark, even with eyes closed, you know you exist. You may forget your age, your duties, your problems for a moment, and still there remains this undeniable presence. I am. Rest there for a moment. Not thinking, not trying, just being aware of being. And as you rest there, let the body soften. Let the shoulders drop slightly. Let the jaw loosen. Let the tongue rest. Let the breath become slow and gentle. Not forced, just allowed. Now I want you to feel the difference between effort and being. Effort feels tight. Being feels open. Effort feels like pushing against life. Being feels like floating with it. And tonight we are not pushing. Tonight we are returning. Returning to the source. Returning to I am. Now softly, inwardly, as though you were whispering to your own heart, let these words form, I am the source. Do not speak them loudly. Do not demand. Do not try to convince a skeptical part of you. Let it be like a deep remembering, something ancient and true. I am the source. Now pause and notice what those words imply. If you are the source, then you are not at the mercy of the outer world. If you are the source, then money is not your master. If you are the source, then you are not waiting for permission to be supported. You are returning to the power that produces support. Now let the mind relax around this. You do not need to figure it out. You only need to accept the feeling of it. And the feeling of I am the source is not a loud pride. It is a quiet strength. It is an inner steadiness. It is peace. So let peace begin to spread in you now, like warm water poured gently into a vessel. Let it fill the chest, the shoulders, the belly. Let the breath slow. Let the body feel safe enough to stop bracing. Now I will guide you into a very simple inner experience. Imagine gently that you are standing at the center of your own life, and from you, like rays from the sun, all conditions flow outward. You are not chasing, you are not begging, you are not running after effects, you are at the center, and you are choosing what you are. This is the meaning of the words, I am. They are not mere words. They are the name of being. And whatever you join to I am becomes the garment you wear. And that garment becomes your world. So tonight we will clothe I am with wealth and peace. Not wealth as greed. Not wealth as anxiety. Wealth as sufficiency. Wealth as ease. Wealth as the calm assurance that you are provided for. And peace as the natural companion of that state. Now as you lie there, imagine a simple warmth in the center of your chest. It is not dramatic. It is like a small light, a steady flame. And that flame is your awareness, the I am. It does not flicker with circumstance. It does not depend on the news of the day. It is constant. It is the one thing that remains when everything else changes. Now feel yourself resting in that light, and say inwardly, very slowly, I am. Pause. I am. Pause again. Now let the words extend naturally. I am safe. Pause. I am supported. Pause. I am provided for. Pause. Do not hurry. Let the pauses be real. The subconscious receives in the pauses. The body accepts in the pauses. The state forms in the pauses. Now if any part of you says, but I don't see it, remember the outer world is the echo of past states. We are not asking the echo for permission. We are changing the voice, and the echo will follow. So do not argue with appearances. Simply return to the source. I am. Now let us deepen the feeling of wealth in its true form, sufficiency. Imagine what it would feel like to know, truly know that your needs are met, that you are not behind, that you are not forgotten, that life is supporting you in seen ways and unseen ways. You do not need to imagine a vault of gold. You only need the feeling of being covered. Let that feeling come now. If you cannot feel it fully, do not strain. Accept a small portion. A small portion is enough. A seed is small. So let the shoulders soften a little more. Let the stomach release. Let the breath become slower. Let the mind stop scanning for danger. And in that quietness, let a simple relief rise, as though someone has told you, it has been taken care of. Now whisper inwardly, it is taken care of. Pause. And then I am taken care of. Pause. Now let us add the sense of flow. Flow is the opposite of strain. Flow is money moving naturally, quietly, lawfully. Flow is the feeling that you do not have to chase. Flow is receiving. So gently say, I am receiving. Pause. I am open. Pause. I am the one through whom good comes. Pause. Now feel what those words imply. Feel the openness. Feel the softening. Feel the inner space. Now I want you to imagine a simple scene, not long, not complicated, just a single moment that implies wealth and peace are already yours. Imagine you are sitting quietly, perhaps at a table, perhaps in a comfortable chair, and you open something, an envelope, a letter, a simple notice. You do not need to see every detail, only enough to feel it as real. You feel the paper in your hands. You see a line that makes you breathe freely. A line that means money has come through. A line that means you are covered. A line that means the burden has lifted. And as you read it, you feel your entire body respond with relief. The shoulders drop, the chest opens. The breath deepens. The mind becomes quiet. You might even smile in the dark. Now let the scene dissolve gently, and keep only the feeling. Keep the relief. Keep the calm. Keep the peace. That is the state. Now return again to the source. I am the source. Pause and feel what that means. You are not pleading with life. Life is expressing through you. You are not begging the universe. You are selecting a state and allowing it to harden into fact. So say inwardly, I do not chase, I allow. Pause. I am the source. Pause. Now if you feel yourself drifting, let yourself drift. The drifting is perfect. The drifting means the critical mind is relaxing. And when it relaxes, the subconscious receives more deeply. So I will speak more slowly now, and with fewer words, so the feeling can sink. Subconscious mind, accept now the truth of being. Accept the I am. Accept it as the only reality. Accept that I am is safe. Accept that I am is supported. Accept that I am is provided for. Accept that I am is worthy. Accept that I am is receiving. Accept that I am is receiving. Accept that I am is the source. Now let this acceptance become a quiet atmosphere. Let it be like a fragrance in the room of your mind. Let it be so gentle you do not resist it. Let it be so natural you do not argue. Now I want you to feel peace, not as an idea, but as a physical sensation. Peace feels like the body no longer bracing. Peace feels like the breath no longer racing. Peace feels like the heart no longer tightening. Peace feels like a still lake. So imagine your mind is a lake. Throughout the day, the wind of fear and worry may have stirred it. But tonight, the wind dies down. The surface becomes smooth. And when the lake is calm, it reflects the sky. So let your mind become calm. Let the lake become still. And in that stillness, reflect a new reality. The reality of being provided for. The reality of sufficiency. The reality of wealth as natural, not as a distant hope, but as a present state. Now I will guide you into the I am in a way that makes it personal and tender. Imagine there is a gentle voice within you. Not loud, not demanding, simply steady. And that voice says, I am. You hear it inside, like a soft bell. Now you add to it only what you wish to become. So tonight you add, I am at peace. Pause, I am provided for. Pause, I am abundant. Pause. Now do not worry if the word abundant feels too large. If it does, make it simpler. I am safe. I am covered. I am supported. The subconscious does not require grand words. It requires true feeling. Choose what feels natural. Choose what the body can accept. Now let wealth be something gentle in you. Wealth does not need to feel like lightning. Wealth in its true form feels like ease. It feels like time returning to you. It feels like choices. It feels like breathing freely. It feels like not being afraid of tomorrow. So let yourself feel for a moment the freedom of not worrying. Let the mind rest. Let the body rest. Let the heart rest. And say, I am free. Pause. I am free. Now let that freedom be quiet. Let it be ordinary. Let it be the kind of freedom that feels like a sigh in the dark. The subconscious loves this. It receives it. Now, my friends, I want to remind you of something. You do not have to know how it will come. You do not have to design the bridge. You do not have to decide the route. Your only responsibility is the state. If you accept yourself as the source, the world must show you sources. If you accept yourself as supported, life must show you support. If you accept yourself as provided for, money must move in ways that match provision. So let the mind stop insisting on the path. The path is not your burden. The path belongs to the deeper self that arranges the bridge of incidents, So now, in this quietness, imagine that the bridge is already forming. You do not see it, but you feel it. You feel that things are shifting. You feel that life is moving. You feel that what you accepted is becoming real. And that feeling is enough. Now I will speak directly again, slowly, with short phrases. You do not need to repeat. Let them sink. Subconscious mind, accept peace. Accept safety. Accept provision. Accept sufficiency. Accept ease. Accept worthiness. Accept receiving. Accept the flow of money. Accept the flow of good. Accept the flow of opportunities. Accept the flow of support. Accept that you are not alone. Accept that you are held. Accept that you are guided. Accept that you are taken care of. Everything is all right. Now, everything is all right. Now let the body sink more deeply into rest. Let the bed carry you. Let gravity do its work. You do not need to hold yourself up. You do not need to hold the world up. You can let go, and as you let go, return to the simplest phrase, the one that is the root of all power. I am. Pause. And then, I am the source. Pause. Let those words become a feeling. The feeling is quiet, authority. The feeling is calm, certainty. The feeling is peace. Now if you can, allow yourself to imagine one more simple moment, so ordinary, it cannot be doubted. Imagine you are going about your day, and you notice something small but unmistakable, an opening, an opportunity, a bit of good news, a simple sign that things are moving. It might be a message, it might be a letter, it might be a conversation, it might be a sudden idea that feels right. And you do not panic, you do not cling, you simply recognize it. You say inwardly, calmly, of course, it is unfolding. Feel that calm recognition now. Of course, it is unfolding. And then let gratitude arise, not forced, just natural. Thank you. And the gratitude is not to beg. It is the quiet fragrance of one who already has. Now, my friends, if you are already asleep, these words are still entering. If you are still awake, let them enter now and carry you into sleep. You will fall asleep not as one chasing money, but as one resting in the source. You will fall asleep with peace as your garment. You will fall asleep with provision as your atmosphere. You will fall asleep with the quiet feeling, I am, and I am the source. And because you fall asleep in that state, the state will externalize. Money will move. Help will appear. Bridges will form. The world will rearrange, not by your strain, but by law. So I leave you now with only a few slow phrases, like a lullaby for the deeper mind. I am the source. I am safe. I am supported. I am provided for. I am receiving. I am at peace. Everything is all right. Now sleep, if sleep is coming, and if you awaken in the night, return gently to the same feeling. I am the source. And even if you sleep, it is working. Even now, it is working. Good night, my friends.